Chapter 1165. You're going to Tai Chu as well? The beautiful woman beside He Dao suddenly asked. Chu Manhe said calmly, That's right. We're going to absolute beginning as well. The pretty lady was looking at Kang Xiushan as she asked this question, but the one who answered was Chu Manhe. After Chu Manhe took the initiative to answer, the Dao integration cultivator in linen clothes looked at Chu Manhe. Only then did he realize that Chu Manhe's cultivation level was higher than his. This meant that there were at least 2 Dao integration stage Holy Emperors in this group. The woman and the Dao integration stage Holy Emperor looked at each other and didn't say anything until the teleportation formation was activated. An extreme sense of dizziness struck them, and the Dao integration stage Holy Emperor and the beautiful woman discovered that no one in this group had actually fallen unconscious. Time and space constantly changed until everyone's feet touched the ground and they walked out of the teleportation array. Welcome to my absolute beginning realm, fellow Taoists. Is there anything I can help you with? The pretty woman suddenly became enthusiastic. Although she was talking, her eyes were fixed on Chu Manhe and Kang Xiushan. In her opinion, the leader of this group of people was either Chu Manhe or Kang Xiushan. To her surprise, the one who took the initiative to speak was neither Chu Manhe nor Kang Xiushan, but the young man with the lowest cultivation. Thank you. I guess you must be the first pillar of the Tai Chu Dao court, Nuala, right? Ning Cheng said with a smile. The beautiful woman was Nuala. She and Xiao Qiandong had just returned from the Grand Change Realm because they hadn't reached an agreement with the Grand Change Realm. That's right, I'm Nora. For you. Seeing that Ning Cheng knew that she was the first court pillar, Nuala knew that Ning Cheng and the others had most likely come for the Tai Chu Dao court. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, My name is Ning Cheng, and I come from the Grand Essence Realm. Of course, I came here in disguise. I'm here for 2 things. The first is to pay a visit to Dao Lord Li, and the second is a private matter. Ning Cheng? You're a Dao Lord of the Tai Chu Dao court? Nuala finally understood and looked at Ning Cheng in disbelief. She was just about to look for Ning Cheng to cooperate with, but she didn't expect Ning Cheng to come to the absolute beginning realm. Didn't Ning Cheng know that the Grand Change Realm was dealing with him? Since he dared to come to the Grand Beginning Realm, wasn't he afraid that the Grand Beginning Realm would take action against him and take him down? However, when Nuala thought of Chu Manhe and the others around Ning Cheng, she thought that maybe he really did not need to be afraid. Ning Cheng smiled and said again, I am Ning Cheng from the Tai Chu Dao court. I wonder if court pillar Nuala can pass a message to me. I would like to meet Dao Lord Li. Visiting Li Jiancheng was not something that Ning Cheng had come up with on the spur of the moment. Rather, he had planned to do so a long time ago. Among the 5 grand realms, the Grand Beginning Realm was even more broken than the Grand Essence Realm. In fact, among the 5 great realms, besides the Great Change Realm, the Great Beginning Realm was the strongest. Absolute Beginning's foundation was too deep, and there were many capable people. Ning Cheng had come to the Absolute Beginning Realm to find Feng Qi, who had taken away balanced soil. It would be difficult for the Absolute Beginning Dao court to not know about it. Ning Cheng decided to take this opportunity to visit Li Jiancheng while looking for Heng Yang. Even if he couldn't bring the Absolute Beginning Realm together to deal with the Grand Change Realm, he could at least stabilize the Absolute Beginning Realm during the war and prevent it from participating in the war. The second was naturally to ask Li Jiancheng for help in finding Feng Qi's origin. At this time, Feng Qi probably hadn't returned to the Absolute Beginning Realm yet. As long as he could find his origin, he might be able to find Feng Qi. Ning Cheng believed that Li Jiancheng wouldn't fall out with the Grand Essence Realm for a piece of balanced soil. Balanced soil wasn't like breath soil, and its value was far less precious. Of course. Dao friends, you can come with us to the Dao court of the Absolute Beginning Sacred Dao City. Our Dao Lord has always admired Dao Lord Ning. We will definitely be happy to see Dao Lord Ning here. Nuala understood and said enthusiastically. After that, she sent out a message. She wanted to find Ning Cheng. Now that Ning Cheng appeared in the Absolute Beginning Realm, how could she not be happy? Whether Nuala was telling the truth or not, Li Jiancheng's welcome to Ning Cheng was not fake. Ning Cheng and the others had just arrived at the Absolute Beginning Sacred Dao City when Li Jiancheng and a group of important figures from the Dao court came out of the city to welcome them. I've long heard of Tao Lord Ning's name. I've long known that Tao Lord Ning is a peerless genius that only appears once in a trillion years. Today, Li Jianqing, can't help but be overjoyed to see Tao friend Ning in the absolute beginning realm. Li Jianqing's youthful face was filled with sincerity and enthusiasm as he greeted Ning Cheng from afar. Ning Cheng quickly stepped forward and said in the same polite tone, "The damage to the absolute beginning realm is far worse than my grand essence realm. Tao friend Li can make the absolute beginning realm a powerful place second only to the grand change realm. Ning Cheng really admires you." Everyone exchanged pleasantries. Ning Cheng briefly introduced Chu Manha and the others, and Li Jianqing also briefly introduced the people who came with him. Only then did he warmly welcome everyone to the absolute beginning guest hall. Fine wine and divine fruits were served like flowing water. Li Jianqing personally greeted Ning Cheng and the others, which showed that he really cared about Ning Cheng's arrival. To be honest, Ning Cheng didn't expect Li Jianqing to be so polite to him. He was even prepared that Li Jianqing would give him some face in order to please the grand change realm. He hadn't expected that none of this would happen. Instead, he felt a little uncomfortable with the absolute beginning Tao court's enthusiasm. This was definitely not because Li Jianqing knew that he was very strong this time. There were at least 2 Tao integration experts behind Li Jianqing. According to Li Jianqing's introduction, the man in linen clothes who had come with them before was called Shao Qiandong. The other Tao integration expert who had been sitting next to Li Jianqing was called Timothy. Based on Ning Cheng's judgment, Timothy's strength was probably a little stronger than Kang Xiushan's. After 3 rounds of wine, Li Jianqing raised his wine glass and said to Ning Cheng, "Logically speaking, I should be the one going to the Grand Essence realm to congratulate the establishment of the Grand Essence Tao Court and congratulate Tao friend Ning on becoming a Tao Lord. Now that Tao friend Ning has taken the initiative to come to my absolute beginning realm, I'm really ashamed. This glass of wine is my fault." After saying that, Li Jianqing raised his wine glass and drank it in one gulp. After drinking all the wine in the glass, Li Jianqing continued, "Brother Ning, no matter what you come to my absolute beginning realm for, as long as it can be done by the absolute beginning realm, Li Jianqing will not decline." He directly changed the title of Tao Lord to Brother Ning and invisibly pulled his relationship with Ning Cheng closer. Such a cautious promise made Ning Cheng feel even more apprehensive. He also raised his wine glass and drank it in one gulp. Then he said, "Thank you for your generosity and politeness, Brother Li. This time, I really need your help with something in the absolute beginning realm. I'm sure Brother Li knows that the Grand Change realm is stronger than the Grand Essence realm and forcibly dispatched the Tao Court's army, right?" Li Jianqing nodded and said with some disdain, "The Grand Change realm's Yin Xingwen is really shameless. The 5 great realms were like brothers in ancient times. Now, for his own selfish desires, he actually wants to use the army against the Grand Essence Tao Court. The absolute beginning realm is extremely dissatisfied with this. Previously, the guardian of the great beginning realm, Shao Qiandong, and the first court pillar, Nuala, went to the Grand Change realm to persuade them about this matter. However, Yin Xingwen is like a tortoise eating its weight. He has already steeled his heart. However, Taoist Ning, don't worry. In any case, the absolute beginning realm will not sit back and watch the Grand Change realm destroy the Grand Essence realm." Ning Cheng found it funny in his heart. If you, Li Jianqing, were so kind, you would have gone to the Grand Essence realm a long time ago. Why would you wait for me to come here today? However, he didn't point it out. Anyone would talk about this kind of thing. If he wanted the absolute beginning realm to stand on his side, or even speak up for the Grand Essence realm, he would need to come up with practical benefits. Many thanks for Brother Li's righteousness. Although the first thing I came here for has nothing to do with the Grand Change realm, I want to form an alliance with the absolute beginning realm. This way, those arrogant people won't be able to do whatever they want unscrupulously. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke with caution. Li Jianqing nodded. "I have the same idea as Brother Ning. From today onwards, my absolute beginning realm will be an ally of the Grand Essence realm. Even if I can't stop the Grand Change realm from mobilizing the army against the Grand Essence realm, I would still advise the Grand Change realm not to go too far." Ning Cheng grew even more puzzled. He couldn't figure out why Li Jianqing spoke so cautiously. It was as if he really wanted to form an alliance with the Grand Essence Realm. Did he misunderstand him? Not waiting for Ning Cheng to solve the doubts in his heart, Li Jianqing spoke up again. Brother Ning, I actually have something I want to ask Brother Ning for help with. Hearing this sentence, Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. That's more like it. If Ning Cheng didn't need his help, then he would feel strange. Brother Li, please speak. As long as I can help, I won't refuse. Ning Cheng spoke in the same tone as Li Jianqing. Li Jianqing spoke up with joy. I heard that Brother Ning arranged the extremely powerful boundary protection Grand Array in the Grand Essence Realm by yourself? Ning Cheng immediately understood that Li Jianqing wanted him to arrange an array formation. He didn't dare say anything else, but he could arrange an array formation without offending anyone. Brother Li overpraises me. Although I didn't arrange the Grand Essence Realm's boundary protection Grand Array by myself, it was arranged under my leadership. Ning Cheng spoke the truth. His attainments in the Tao of arrays were the highest, so there was no need to hide it. Li Jianqing clapped his hands. My Absolute Beginning Pill Union's Association Master Peng Ong once said that Brother Ning is a peerless genius. It seems that it's true. I wanted to arrange a teleportation array, but this teleportation array is a bit difficult. My Absolute Beginning Realm doesn't have many top-level array Tao experts, and the Grand Change Realm and I don't get along because of the Grand Essence Realm. So, I shamelessly asked Tao friend Ning for help. Ning Cheng nodded, no problem. But where does this teleportation array lead to? What kind of teleportation array is it? Li Jianqing stood up. Brother Ning, this teleportation array is a bit far. I estimate that it will cross more than one positional plane. As for the location, I haven't determined it yet. Cross more than one positional plane? Ning Cheng frowned suddenly and said apologetically, Brother Li, if it's a positional plane, I'm afraid I can't arrange this kind of teleportation array. Even if Brother Li asks for more help, my ability is still limited. When he said this, Ning Cheng thought of Nian Yan. Perhaps Nian Yan, an array Tao genius, could arrange a positional teleportation array. As for him, he was still far from it. Chapter 1166. Li Jianqing seemed to know that Ning Cheng would say this. He smiled and said, I also know that even the Grand Change Realm wouldn't be able to find such an expert in the Tao of arrays. My current idea is to set up a teleportation array to the nearest place in the other positional plane, and then set up another teleportation array in the other positional plane. When we have the strength, I will ask Brother Ning to set up a planar teleportation array. Ning Cheng instantly understood Li Jianqing's meaning. It was as if two places were separated by a river in the middle. To connect these two places, the road builder could only build two roads, one to this side of the river, and the other from the other side of the river. As for how to cross the river, it had nothing to do with the array formation. Of course, when he had the ability to build a bridge, he could build a new one. If that's the case, I'm willing to contribute to the Grand Beginning Realms array. Since Li Jianqing said it like this, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't refuse and agreed to Li Jianqing's request without hesitation. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Li Jianqing said with joy, It's a great joy for my Grand Beginning Realm and Grand Essence Realm to become brothers. By the way, Brother Ning, there's one more thing. Ning Cheng came here for the matter of Balance Earth. As for forming an alliance with Li Jianqing, it was completely incidental. Whether it was Ning Cheng or Li Jianqing, they both knew it in their hearts. This kind of alliance couldn't stand the test of wind and rain. As long as the Grand Change Realm destroyed the Grand Essence Realm, it would be strange if Li Jianqing would still remember this alliance. Similarly, if the Grand Change Realm wanted to deal with the Grand Beginning Realm, Ning Cheng wouldn't be stupid enough to help the Grand Beginning Realm. This alliance meant that when the Grand Change Realm dealt with the Grand Essence Realm, the Grand Beginning Realm wouldn't intervene. It could even send someone to help the Grand Beginning Realm. If Ning Cheng didn't die, then he would have to help the Grand Beginning Realm complete the array formation. Everyone knew this in their hearts. Brother Li, there's a cultivator named Feng Qi in the Grand Beginning Realm. This person killed a disciple of my Grand Essence Heaven's Pole Island and stole a piece of material. I'm very interested in this material. The other thing I came here for is to ask Brother Li to help me find this Feng Qi. Ning Qing did not say what Feng Qi had stolen. He was not sure if Li Jianqing would have any thoughts about Hing Ran. However, he didn't have a choice. Feng Qi was from the Great Beginning Realm, and he had to go through Li Jianqing, the Tao Lord of the Tao Court, to find him. After saying that, Ning Qing took out a crystal ball and handed it to Li Jianqing. Brother Li, this is Feng Qi's image. I guess he hasn't reached the absolute beginning realm yet. As long as Brother Li can give me the clues to find this person, I will be eternally grateful. Li Jianqing took the crystal ball. Ning Qing didn't say what Feng Qi took, but Li Jianqing knew that it must be something extraordinary. If it was an ordinary thing, then Ning Qing would not have spoken to him in such a cautious manner. He could also guess that even if this thing was not a trivial matter, it should not be enough to cause him to become greedy and become enemies with Ning Qing. Otherwise, Ning Qing would not have spoken about this matter. Ning Qing did not say what this material was. As long as he could find Feng Qi, then he would be able to ask him what this material was. Brother Ning, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. As long as Feng Qi came out of the absolute beginning realm, I can find his background, Li Jianqing promised without hesitation. The help of Ning Qing's array formation was too important to him. The sacred Tao world was definitely a treasure land that even Tai Yi had not discovered. If he wanted to occupy the sacred Tao world, he needed the simplest way to go to the sacred Tao world. This method could only be teleportation. Ning Qing was an array formation expert, so Tai Yi had to rely on him. The atmosphere between the two sides was good. After talking about business, they exchanged cultivation experiences and talked about all sorts of interesting things. After that, the Absolute Beginning Realm Elixir Association Master Peng-Ong, Alchemy Sage Feng Shihao, and Qin Zishu also came. Peng-Ong wanted to make friends with Ning Qing, so he naturally would not make Ning Qing unhappy. Li Jianqing wanted to ask Chu Manhe and the others who came with Ning Qing, but Ning Qing did not say anything, so he could not ask in detail. Li Jianqing was not bragging. In just half a month he found out Feng Qi's background. Feng Qi did come out of the Absolute Beginning Realm, but he was a traitor of the Absolute Beginning Realm. This person was originally from the Star Point Palace in the Absolute Beginning Realm. Later, he killed the Star Point Palace master and his wife, who were very grateful to him. He stole the Star Point Palace's treasure, the Star Point Plate, and disappeared. The Star Point Plate was not only the treasure of the Star Point Palace, but it was also a very famous treasure in the entire Absolute Beginning Realm. The Star Point Plate was not an offensive Dharma treasure, but an auxiliary treasure. It only had one function, and that was to clearly find many treasures that others could not see. Even some treasures that were hidden extremely well could be found by the star-pointing compass. Ning Qing was very disappointed when he heard this news. This meant that Feng Qi would not return to the Absolute Beginning Realm. His idea of finding Feng Qi's background was also lost. Feng Qi was so cruel that he could even kill the palace master and his wife. How could he return to the Absolute Beginning Realm? Since he could not find a way from the Absolute Beginning Realm, Ning Qing could only say goodbye to Li Jianqing. Li Jianqing personally sent Ning Qing away and sent the Absolute Beginning Realm's protector Shao Qiandong to follow Ning Qing to the Grand Essence Realm. Li Jianqing did not say that he would send Shao Qiandong to help, but everyone knew it. That was, once the Grand Essence Realm could not withstand the Grand Simplicity Realm's attack, Shao Qiandong would rescue Ning Qing and return to the Absolute Beginning Realm. Since Shao Qiandong rescued Ning Qing and returned to the Absolute Beginning Realm, Ning Qing naturally had to help the Absolute Beginning Realm arrange the array formation. Heaven Essence Sacred City, Grand Essence Tao Court Hall, Ning Qing, who had rushed back from the Absolute Beginning Realm, was sitting on the Tao Lord throne. Next to him, there were 37 experts that almost no one recognized. These 37 people were naturally primordial chaos powerhouses who had recovered their cultivation in the Grand Essence Sea's Dragon Cleansing Pool. After recovering their cultivation, they did not even have time to take out the innate dragon beads. Instead, they came to Heaven Essence Sacred City to cheer for Ning Qing. Because the Grand Essence Tao Court's army had already arrived outside the Grand Essence Realm's Protector Grand Array, Ning Cheng couldn't even squeeze out the time to go to the Grand Essence Mountain, let alone arrange the array formation to remove the innate dragon beads. Yin Xingwen arrived at the Grand Essence Realm much faster than Ning Cheng had expected. If Ning Cheng hadn't wasted almost no time in the Grand Essence Realm, maybe Ning Cheng would not have returned by the time the Grand Essence Realm's Tao Court's army arrived outside the Grand Essence Realm. Li Feng knew that Ning Cheng had a group of helpers, but he never asked Ning Cheng where these people came from. Li Feng didn't understand why these experts would help Ning Cheng, but this matter did not bring any harm to the Grand Essence Realm. At this time, Ning Cheng sat in the Grand Essence Tao Court's hall with more than 30 experts sitting around Ning Cheng. These more than 30 experts made Li Feng understand that even without his support, these 30 people were enough to help Ning Cheng sweep away any unfavorable factors in the Grand Essence Realm. After everyone arrived, Li Feng was the first to stand up and give a salute. Tao Lord, this time, the Grand Essence Realm's Realm Master Yin Xingwen has arrived outside the Grand Essence Realm. Ning Cheng nodded. Court Master Li, do you know the general strength of the other party? Li Feng continued. This time, in addition to the Grand Essence Realm's Realm Master Tao Integration Expert Yin Xingwen, there are also 2 Tao Integration Experts, Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian. In addition, there are also Luing Tao Court's Tao Integration Expert Chu Bai and Jade Clear Tao Court's Tao Integration Expert Wei Xinghao. Ning Cheng was slightly taken aback. He didn't expect the Grand Essence Realm to send 5 Tao Integration Holy Emperors this time, including a Realm Master. If it weren't for the help of Chu Manhe and the other 37 experts, perhaps the Grand Essence Realm wouldn't have lasted for long. Li Feng continued. These are just the Tao Integration Experts from the Grand Essence Realm. As for Primordial Chaos Experts, there are hundreds of them. Not only are there Tao Integration and Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, but the Grand Essence Tao Court's army also has nearly 50 million people. Hearing Li Feng's words, not only was Ning Cheng surprised, but the others were also shocked. They all knew that the Grand Essence Realm wouldn't come to the Grand Essence Realm this time, but they didn't know that it would be this powerful. More than 50 million Tao Court soldiers, 5 Tao Integration Holy Emperors, and hundreds of Primordial Chaos Experts had come. How could they fight against them? Even if the Grand Essence Realm had a Boundary Protection Grand Array and a Trap and Kill Array to complement it. In front of so many experts, it would be very difficult to stop the Grand Essence Tao Court's army from entering the Grand Essence Realm. Many people looked at the more than 30 people beside Ning Cheng. They didn't know who they were, but they also knew that they were Ning Cheng's last resort. But what was the use of them? Tao Lord Ning, how confident are you in this battle? Shi Yiqing's gaze swept across the group of Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors who came out of the Perpetual Moon Sect and asked calmly. She could see that the people who came with Ning Cheng weren't weak. They should all be Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors. Even that woman was a Tao Integration expert and should be far stronger than her. She had the same thought as the others. So what if it was like this? The Grand Change Realms Yin Xingwen alone could suppress several Tao Integration Holy Emperors on their side. Moreover, the Grand Change Realm had brought hundreds of Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors. The Grand Change Realm's Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, plus the unknown people around Ning Cheng, probably only numbered about 100. Ning Cheng said calmly, I don't even have 10% confidence. This isn't the first time. We can use our hidden trap and kill array to trick the other party. I've said it before. Even if I have no confidence, I will not give up resistance since I was born in the Grand Essence Realm. If you want to set foot in the Grand Essence Realm, you will have to step over me. Ning Cheng's words made Shi Yiqing frown slightly, but many of the Grand Essence Tao Court's Holy Emperors enthusiastically supported him. The reason why the Grand Essence Realm could reach where it was today was because of Ning Cheng's determination to protect the Grand Essence Realm. If they could stop the Grand Change Realm's invasion this time, the Grand Essence Realm would rise to another level. Kong Xiushan didn't speak. He even nodded. Only he knew that the Tao Integration Holy Emperors in the Grand Essence Realm weren't too far off from the Grand Change Realm. In addition to him and Shi Yiqing, Chu Manhe, who was next to Ning Cheng, was definitely a powerhouse among powerhouses. There was also a hidden powerhouse, Xiao Qiandong, who wasn't sitting here. In this way, the Grand Essence Realm had 4 Dao Integration Holy Emperors. Even if they used the defense array and trap and kill array, they might not necessarily be able to stop Yin Xingwen. This matter was too big. Shui Ying, who was still in the second Heaven's Blight, also came to this Dao court meeting. He walked out after hearing Ning Cheng's words. Just as he was about to speak, a clear voice suddenly rang in everyone's ears. Ning Cheng, you have 2 hours to come out of the Grand Essence Defense Array and face me. Otherwise, my Grand Change Dao Court army will turn the entire Grand Essence realm into dust. It's Yin Xingwen. Shi Yiqing's expression changed slightly. She had a deep fear of Yin Xingwen. In her heart, Yin Xingwen was an invincible existence. Chapter 1167. Ning Cheng laughed and stood up. Since you're here, let's go and meet them. Court Masterly, although the Grand Essence Dao Court army doesn't have many people, we can't lose our momentum. Ning Cheng knew that he wasn't as strong as the other party, but he didn't want to lose his momentum. Before the meeting in the throne room, he had discussed a countermeasure with Chu Manhe and the Black and White Beards. However, this countermeasure had to suppress all the Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors and Dao Unification Holy Emperors to deal with the Grand Change Dao Court army. Now that the other party had too many Dao Unification and Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, it would be difficult to suppress them. Li Feng understood what Ning Cheng meant. He, the other 9 court masters, and Bai Caixia all stood up and expressed their support for the Dao Lord's decision. After Ning Cheng and the Grand Essence Realm's experts walked out of the defense array, they saw an endless Dao court army. The army was dense and continuous, like the waves in the sea, undulating majestically. Under the suppression of the Dao court army, the void square outside the Grand Essence Realm only had a few scattered corners. A middle-aged Confucian stood at the front, and behind him were hundreds of powerful auras with Dao runes. Seeing Ning Cheng come over, the middle-aged Confucian said in a calm voice, "You must be Pill Sage Ning, who won the top 3 in the 5 Realms Pill competition." Pill Sage Ning is really young and promising. Not only is he the Grand Essence Pill Association's leader, but he also established the Grand Essence Dao Court in the Grand Essence Realm. Ning Cheng didn't salute. His gaze swept across the Dao Court army behind the middle-aged Confucian and then fell on the hundreds of powerful Primordial Chaos Holy Auras behind the middle-aged Confucian. After a while, his gaze finally fell on Yin Xingwen. You're Yin Xingwen, the Grand Change Realm Master, one of the strongest Dao Unification experts in the Grand Change Realm? Yin Xingwen snorted when he heard Ning Cheng's words. Whether in terms of seniority or age, Ning Cheng and he weren't on the same level. No matter why Yin Xingwen was standing here, Ning Cheng should first salute him with cupped fists before speaking politely. Yin Xingwen ignored the rude Ning Cheng and said to Ao Beijiang next to him, "Beijiang, I finally understand why you brought the Dao Court army to the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm is not terrible. What's terrible is that the Grand Essence Realm has such an arrogant person. If this arrogant person continues, sooner or later, he will bring disaster to the 5 Grand Essence Realm." Before Ao Beijiang could speak, Feng Xian chimed in from the side, "This person is not only arrogant but also shameless. He stole my Boundless Palace's Mountain River Dipper through a sneak attack, and similarly used despicable means to steal Brother Beijiang's things." Even when facing the advance of the Dao Court's army, this person still had the mentality of launching a sneak attack. The few of them spoke through the Dao Charm aura. Although it was just a few ordinary words, everyone outside the Grand Essence Realm could hear them clearly. In, up, in, s fong, the thlis cheng. Master, s, cheng, sex, s say. Cheng is, when us, cheng, ti, cheng, I cheng, tijen long ting, I cheng, ti, cheng up, cheng. T. If we don't kill such a vicious person, our 5 great realms will never have a peaceful day. After Yin Xingwen said this, countless soldiers of the Tai Dao court began to echo him. Kill the villains. Don't disturb the stability of the 5 great realms. Ning Qing knew about Yin Xingwen's idea, which was to instigate the war. He also spoke up loudly, Yin Xingwen, as the master of a realm, you actually mobilized the Dao court army to invade my Grand Essence realm for your own benefit. Didn't Feng Xian willingly use the news of the Chaos Tree to get you to leave the Grand Essence realm after I killed countless invaders from the Realmless Palace? Don't make it sound so grand as if you're a saint. Ning Cheng's voice was also sent out using his Dao runes. All the Dao court soldiers who were inciting to kill Ning Cheng quietened down at this moment. There was no doubt that Ning Cheng's words were more convincing. It was normal for Yin Xingwen to mobilize the Dao court army to attack the Grand Essence realm for the sake of the Chaos Tree. Just as Yin Xingwen had said, it was strange that the Dao court army had been mobilized to break the seal of the underground abyss for Ning City. Even the several Dao unification holy emperors who came with Yin Xingwen also thought that this was the real reason. No wonder Yin Xingwen was willing to take out the chaos aura and even made the biggest sacrifice. It turned out to be for the Chaos Tree. Who wouldn't want this thing? Yin Xingwen felt something wrong with everyone's aura and secretly cursed in his heart. Most of what he said had a basis, but Ning Qing didn't play cards according to common sense. It was simply nonsense. Chaos Tree? If there was a Chaos Tree? Yin Xingwen paused slightly as he thought of this. He even felt a little scared. He found that Ning Cheng's nonsense was just right. If there was a Chaos Tree, he would have mobilized the Dao court army to destroy the Grand Essence realm and snatch the Chaos Tree back. In any case, he couldn't let Ning Cheng continue. Just as he was about to issue an order, Feng Xian's face suddenly changed and turned pale in an instant. Feng Xian was a Dao Unification Holy Emperor, and an extremely powerful Dao Unification Holy Emperor. Feng Xian was indispensable in Yin Xingwen's attack plan. Now that Feng Xian's face changed drastically, Yin Xingwen immediately noticed it and quickly asked, Dao friend Feng, I'm about to attack the Grand Essence defensive array. Do you need something? Feng Xian took a deep breath and said slowly, Realm Master Yin Xingwen, I'm going to attack the Grand Essence realm this time. My life belongs to Realm Master. No matter what Realm Master says, I, Feng Xian, will do my best. Yin Xingwen quickly said, since we're going to deal with the Grand Essence defensive array together, everyone will naturally work together. There's no such thing as whose life belongs to whom. Feng Xian bowed and said, I just want to ask Realm Master one thing. As long as Realm Master agrees, Feng Xian's words will not be discounted. Yin Xingwen smiled. Dao friend Feng, please speak. As long as I, Yin Xingwen, can do it, I will not refuse. Yin Xingwen knew Feng Xian's purpose in coming here, and he also knew what Feng Xian wanted. Therefore, he could agree to Feng Xian's request without any doubt. Feng Xian bowed again and said in a solemn tone, Realm Master Yin Xingwen, I have two brothers, Feng Qi and Feng Shi. They were like brothers to me, but I felt their soul tablets shatter just now. They were killed by someone. I, Feng Xian, just want to ask Realm Master to help me once the Grand Essence realm is over. Feng Xian knew Feng Qi and Feng Shi's abilities too well. Feng Shi wasn't much of a threat, but Feng Qi was the main reason. Feng Qi was still far from Dao integration, but there weren't many people who could kill Feng Qi. Even as his brother, it wouldn't be easy for him to kill Feng Qi. The Feng clan had a trace of the ancient seven-colored phoenix's bloodline, and Feng Qi inherited the seven-colored phoenix's bloodline. He had an innate spirit power, the rainbow phoenix escape. As long as Feng Qi wanted to leave, even a Dao integration sacred emperor stronger than Feng Xian couldn't catch Feng Qi. But now, Feng Qi was killed, which showed how powerful the person who killed Feng Qi was. Even if Feng Xian went there personally, he might not necessarily be able to take revenge. Furthermore, after experiencing the Great Essence Realm incident, Feng Xian's confidence had already suffered a blow that he didn't even realize. Even a small Ning city could stop the Boundless Palace's invasion, let alone the mysterious expert who killed Feng Qi in Heavens Beyond. Yin Xingwen, who didn't care, nodded and asked, May I know where Feng Qi and Feng Shi died? If I, Yin Xingwen, can help, I naturally won't refuse. Feng Xian took a deep breath and said word by word, Feng Qi and Feng Shi went to Heavens Beyond at my request. I didn't hear from them after that. Not long ago, I received news that their soul tablets had shattered. Heavens beyond? Ao Beijiang, who was standing next to Yin Xingwen, asked in surprise. Feng Xian nodded. That's right. Feng Qi and Feng Shi's soul tablets shattered, so they must have died in heavens beyond. I'm afraid that the person who sealed Feng Qi's escape and killed him isn't weaker than me. Therefore, I want to ask Xingwen Realm Lord for help. Yin Xingwen nodded. I know about heavens beyond. I've been there once, and it's a little strange. It doesn't matter. After we break the Grand Essence Defense Array, I'll definitely find time to go to heavens beyond with Taoist Feng. Ao Beijiang opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something but didn't say anything in the end. He also knew that this was not the time to talk. Feng Xian had played a very important role in Yin Xingwen's decision to break the Grand Essence Defense Array. Thank you, Xingwen Realm Lord. Feng Xian will definitely do his best to help you break the Grand Essence Defense Array. Feng Xian hurriedly thanked him. The recent series of blows had made him, who was once the supreme boundless palace lord, lose all his confidence. Yin Xingwen nodded, raised his hand, and waved several array flags before saying, Beijiang will take the front, Weixing will take the back, Chu Bai and Xian will take the side, and I'll take the center. 40 million Dao court troops will attack the Grand Essence Defense Array with all their might. The rest will press forward at any time. The 5 Dao integration experts attacked at the same time. Yin Xingwen might have used array flags to coordinate with them. In fact, Yin Xingwen had used brute force to attack and had nothing to do with array formations. Since Ning Cheng could arrange such a realm defense array, his array Dao must be extraordinary. As the realm lord of a realm, Yin Xingwen naturally wouldn't use his shortcomings against the enemy's strengths. He used brute force. As long as the Grand Essence realm wasn't as strong as him, he could only rely on brute force. Ning Cheng, who stood at the edge of the Grand Essence realm's defense array, frowned when he saw Yin Xingwen's actions. His confinement-killing array was strong, but it was a pity that Yin Xingwen didn't enter his confinement-killing array. Ning Cheng only had 2 ways to stop this brute force attack. The first way was to use brute force and send 5 Dao integration experts and hundreds of primordial chaos sacred emperors. Naturally, he would also need to use tens of millions of Dao court troops. In this way, the pressure on the Grand Essence Defense Array would be minimized. Similarly, the Grand Essence Defense Array wouldn't play much of a role. The second way was to use the Grand Essence Defense Array to block Yin Xingwen's brute force attack. However, no matter how strong the Grand Essence Realm's defense array was, it would break one day. This was mainly because the strength of the Grand Essence Realm's Dao court troops was too different from the Grand Change Realm's Dao court troops. While Ning Cheng frowned, the Grand Change Dao court troops and countless primordial chaos sacred emperors had already begun to attack the Grand Essence Defense Array under the command of Yin Xingwen and several other Dao integration experts. Chapter 1168. In the face of such a strong attack, Ning Cheng could only rely on the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array and mobilize the Grand Essence Dao Court's army to block it. Otherwise, he could only face it head-on. He, Chu Manhe, and the black-white bearded man had come up with a moving trapping array method. This moving trapping array not only required more than 1 million array Dao experts, but it also required 2 super-powerful array Dao sacred emperors. Ning Cheng was prepared for more than 100 array Dao experts. The Grand Essence Dao Court's Sha Sujuan was all array Dao masters. As for the 2 super array Dao experts, Ning Cheng was one, and the black-white bearded man was the other. However, this method had to first trap the 5 Dao integration experts and the hundreds of primordial essence sacred emperors on the other side. Therefore, this method was also very difficult. There was a huge gap between Tai Su's strength and Tai Yi's strength. If they didn't rely on the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array, Tai Su's less than 20 million Dao court army probably wouldn't last long. Tens of millions of Dao court army clashed together, and the Dao runes of space instantly became chaotic. All kinds of Dharma treasures and divine essence exploded, and the entire void made a tearing sound. Even though the surrounding void was extremely tough, there were occasional spatial cracks caused by the explosion of law power. Some Dao court army cultivators were sucked into the spatial cracks and soon disappeared. Although the Grand Essence Realm had the help of the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array, there were too many Dao court army in the Grand Change Realm. Their overall strength was also stronger than the Grand Essence Realms. In addition, the Primordial Essence Sacred Emperors were far stronger than the Grand Essence Realm. Therefore, the Grand Essence Realm suffered more casualties when the two sides collided. Looking at Yin Xingwen in the middle and the four armies constantly pouncing on the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array, Ning Cheng's face turned a little ugly. The only way to stop the madness of the Grand Change Dao Court Army was to stop the 5 Dao Integration Sacred Emperors. Ning Cheng, I'm afraid we can't go on like this. No matter how strong the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array is, it can't withstand such a powerful continuous attack. When the Grand Essence Dao Court Army collapses, the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array will also collapse. At that time, I'm afraid the entire Grand Essence Realm will be crushed by the Grand Essence Dao Court Army. Chu Manha stood beside Ning Cheng and shook her head. Ning Cheng sighed. I also know that most of the opposing Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors have yet to take action. Once our Primordial Chaos experts make a move, not only will the other party's Primordial Chaos experts go all out, but the 5 Dao integration experts will also not hold back. At that time, the other party will suppress us with full force. However, there was one more sentence that Ning Cheng did not say. He learned about Yin Xingwen's strength from Li Feng and Kang Xiushan. He knew that Yin Xingwen was too terrifying. Even Chu Manha might not be his match. Pang Yuan, who was standing next to Chu Manha, spoke up in a deep voice. Ning Cheng, I think what Dao friend Chu said is right, this can't go on. Yin Xingwen, the Grand Change Realm Lord, should be the strongest among all the Dao integration experts. Why don't you leave Yin Xingwen to me and let Daoist Yen and Daoist One hold back Feng Xian? Only by delaying the 5 enemy Dao integration stage super mighty figures can you and the Black-White Beard execute our plan. Chu Manha continued. Ning Cheng did not speak. He knew what Chu Manha meant. In fact, Ning Cheng did not think that it would be a problem to let Yen Bin and Wan Yi hold back Feng Xian. The problem was that Shi Yiqing and Kang Xiushan might not be the opponents of the other 2 Dao integration sacred emperors in the Grand Change Realm. Even Chu Manha herself might not be able to deal with Yin Xingwen. Once another Dao integration sacred emperor died on Grand Su's side, it would be a complete defeat. No matter how strong Grand Su's defense array was, it would not be able to hold on. Crack! An explosive sound rang out, and Ning Cheng's heart sank. He knew that this was not the way to go, but he had not expected the defense array to be so fragile. How long had it been? Cracks could appear in the array. Although his defense array could repair itself, that was only if no one attacked. Chu Manha did not wait any longer. Her figure flashed, and she rolled up the 9 profound beads in her hand. The 9 profound beads brought 9 rays of brilliance and fell towards Yin Xingwen in the middle. Ning Cheng cursed inwardly. Even if he had to make a move, he would not let Chu Manha attack Yin Xingwen. This did not fit his plan. Even if Chu Manha was no worse than Yin Xingwen, he would not get any benefits. According to his plan, he would let Chu Manha attack one of the other 4 Dao integration sacred emperors instead of letting Chu Manha deal with Yin Xingwen. This was like a Tianji horse race. Chu Manha was the strongest on his side. If she could kill one of the other Dao integration sacred emperors by surprise, things would be much easier. Moreover, the possibility of this happening was very high. One was that Chu Manha was very strong, and the other was that when Chu Manha attacked, he could use the Realm Protection Array to block the other 4 Dao integration sacred emperors for a breath of time. A breath of time was very short, and for a Dao integration sacred emperor, too many things could happen in a breath of time. Unfortunately, Chu Manha did not do as he thought and chose to attack the strongest Yin Xingwen. Ning Cheng sighed. He knew that Chu Manha was proud. If this woman was not so proud, she would not have been trapped in the Perpetual Moon Gate by the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor. A white pillar of light rose from the void, like a heavenly dragon spitting water, and enveloped Yin Xingwen. Chu Manha immediately used her great divine ability, Heaven-Splitting 9 Pearls. The power of this divine ability was that it suddenly extracted all the laws in the entire space at the same time. In this extracted space, everything would be crushed into nothingness. If Chu Manha had used this ability on another Tao integration stage Holy Emperor, then she might have been able to succeed. However, Yin Xingwen was too powerful, and even Chu Manha's surprise attack was unable to pose any threat to him. Boom! The power of the Tao runes and laws in the void exploded, and Yin Xingwen flew backward with disheveled hair. Although he was a bit embarrassed by Chu Manha's sudden attack, he managed to block Chu Manha's heaven-splitting 9 pearls. Chu Manha's heart sank. She knew that she had underestimated this realm lord. It was impossible to sneak attack again. At this time, she could only use all her strength to fight Yin Xingwen. For a moment, the Tao runes crisscrossed, and the power of laws stimulated a new space. In this space, Chu Manha and Yin Xingwen were fighting. The other Tao integration stage Holy Emperors of the Great Change Realm naturally had to help Yin Xingwen kill Chu Manha. At this moment, Ning Qing didn't need to speak at all. On the Grand Essence Realm side, Kang Xiushan blocked Feng Xian, Yan Binji and Wan Yi blocked Wei Xinghao, and Shi Yiqing stepped forward to block Chu Bai. Ning Qing saw that Xiao Qiandong did not move, while Ao Beijiang had no one to stop him. Instead, he rushed towards Chu Manha. Ning Qing felt both anger and anxiety in his heart. The person they invited was indeed unreliable. At this critical moment, Xiao Qiandong actually didn't come. This was simply terrible. Once Ao Beijiang and Yin Xingwen killed Chu Manha, his Grand Essence Realm would lose. Chu Manha was weaker than Yin Xingwen to begin with. Now that Ao Beijiang was added to the mix, what was the point of fighting? Ning Qing no longer cared about anything else. Rushing out of the defensive array, he brought out the 5th reincarnation bridge and blasted it towards Ao Beijiang. He had to stop Ao Beijiang. Otherwise, it would be over if Ao Beijiang attacked Chu Manha. As long as Chu Manha got injured, the Grand Essence Realm would still lose. A long, orange-colored stone arch bridge stretched across the sky. The bridge's body was mottled with vicissitudes, and it looked extremely dilapidated. The black mist under the bridge formed a huge millstone. Every time the millstone moved, it felt as if countless life forces were sucked away. The surroundings looked even more deathly still. The stone millstone grinded away countless life forces, forming a tumbling deathly aura. The power of Tao charm permeating into one's soul started to spread out. Reincarnation, reincarnation, the body can go, but the person cannot live. The power of Tao charm gathered the moment Ao Beijiang rushed towards Chu Manha. Together with the black mist millstone, it crushed towards Ao Beijiang. The 5 scribbled words on the 5th reincarnation bridge trembled slightly at the bridgehead. This scene instantly attracted the attention of the entire battlefield. Ao Beijiang paused for a moment, but his eyes immediately showed a look of surprise and fanaticism. At this moment, killing Chu Manha was secondary. Killing Ning Qing was the most important thing. Now that Ning Qing rushed out of the protective array, if he didn't take action, when would he wait? No wonder Ning Qing could walk away from the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. It turned out to be because of the 7 bridges spirit technique. Not to mention Ao Beijiang, even Yin Xingwen, who was suppressing Chu Manha, had a fiery look in his eyes. Ning Qing really had a lot of secrets. He even had 7 bridges. The Tao charm of the spirit technique, which blasted towards Chu Manha, instantly changed directions and blasted towards Ning Qing's 5th reincarnation bridge. Boom! The violent power of the Tao charm laws slammed into the reincarnation bridge, causing it to tremble and make cracking sounds. Ning Qing hadn't even received the full force of the Tao charm laws when the Tao charm laws around him collapsed. Even his spirit essence had automatically dissipated. When the violent power of the Tao charm returned, he felt as if a pair of scissors were constantly cutting his meridians and sea of consciousness. Crack! Puff! The 5th reincarnation bridge didn't suck Ao Beijiang into it and grind him into nothingness. When Ao Beijiang's power of the Tao charm laws slammed into it, the 5th reincarnation bridge and the black millstone cracked apart. Ning Qing, who had merged with the 5th reincarnation bridge, spat out several mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. Ao Beijiang's Dao charm locked onto all the laws in the void around Ning Cheng. While still in the void, Ning Cheng knew that things weren't looking good. He was getting further and further away from the defensive array, and Ao Beijiang was determined to kill him. Even he didn't know how to avoid Ao Beijiang's attack. Because of Ning Cheng's attack, Ao Beijiang's pressure on Chu Manhe relaxed slightly. She really wanted to help Ning Cheng, but Yin Xingwen was holding her back. She couldn't leave at all. Xiao Qiandong frowned. He didn't know if he should help or not. According to their original plan, Grand Essence would quickly collapse under the suppression of the Grand Change Realm's army, and he would save Ning Cheng when he collapsed. Ning Cheng and his Grand Beginning Alliance had a pact. It would be much easier for him to save Ning Cheng than to inexplicably save him. But things were not what he had imagined at all. The Grand Essence Realm had not only temporarily blocked the attack of the Tai Dao Court Army, but even the battle between the Primordial Chaos Realm and the Dao Integration Realm was not as easily defeated as he had imagined. Ning Cheng didn't know where he had invited many unfamiliar Dao fusion powerhouses, but these Dao fusion powerhouses completely crushed the Grand Change Realm's Dao fusion Holy Emperors. Now, the Grand Change Realm only relied on numbers to suppress them, not strength. Boom! Just when Ao Beijiang was about to hit Ning Cheng again, another violent power of the laws swept over from the side of the void. This power directly shattered Ao Beijiang's binding power over the void and blocked Ao Beijiang's path. Then Ao Beijiang was sent flying back. Who is it? Who wants to intervene in my Grand Change Realm's affairs? Ao Beijiang roared. Tai Su Qinglan. A lazy voice came over. Chapter 1169. Ao Beijiang's mind buzzed when he heard Tai Su Qinglan's name. He didn't even think about it and raised his hand to slap a talisman on his forehead. Perhaps no one had heard of the name Qinglan now, but many years ago, everyone knew that there was a Qinglan in Tai Su. After transcending the second Dao integration stage, Qinglan wanted to go to the Great Change Realm to find a way to the third step. However, Great Essence Realm Lord Yin Xingwen didn't allow him to enter. At that time, Yin Xingwen and 3 Dao Integration Holy Emperors had joined forces to deal with Qinglan. Although Qinglan was severely injured in the end, the Great Change Realm lost a Dao Integration expert. Yin Xingwen and the other 2 were also injured. After Qinglan suffered severe injuries, he didn't return to the Grand Essence Realm. Instead, he left the 5 Grand Realms and went to a more distant interface to find opportunities for the third step Dao confirming realm. In short, he disappeared. It would be strange if Ao Beijiang wasn't afraid of Qinglan's sudden appearance. He didn't think that he was a match for Grand Change Realm Lord Yin Xingwen. Furthermore, Yin Xingwen and the other Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperors were all being held back, so it would be strange if anyone came to help him. Moreover, so many years had passed. Who knew if Qinglan had reached the third step of Dao validation? Ao Beijiang had managed to escape countless times in the void by relying on his nimble mind. He activated an escape talisman without hesitation after hearing Qinglan's name. At the same time that the escape talisman transformed into a blood-colored light when it was stuck to his glabella, 2 gray Taoist runes continued to wrap around Ao Beijiang's body, sweeping up a blood-colored light. After the splatter of blood, Ao Beijiang vanished into thin air. What a rat, running so fast. Qinglan mocked the void. From Ning Cheng bringing out the 5th reincarnation bridge, to Ao Beijiang attacking Ning Cheng, to Qinglan's sudden appearance and Ao Beijiang's escape, the whole process could only be described as a gap. After these things happened, Yin Xingwen immediately knew that Dao integration's strength had changed. He had fought Qinglan before, and Qinglan's strength was definitely not weaker than his. Moreover, he had no idea how much Qinglan had improved over the years. Yin Xingwen could only look down on Qinglan for sending Ao Beijiang flying with a single move. His target was Ao Beijiang. He could have held Qinglan off for a while, but the guy was so afraid of death that he'd rather be heavily injured than flee. When Xiao Qiandong saw Qinglan appear and Ao Beijiang escape, he knew that the Grand Essence Realm wouldn't lose this war. He also took out his magic treasure and attacked Chu Bai. Shi Yiqing clearly couldn't block Chu Bai. If this continued, Shi Yiqing would be the first to be killed. Yin Xingwen could only sigh helplessly when Qing Lan and Xiao Qiandong appeared. If another Dao integration stage super mighty figure were to perish, then the Tai Su army would have suffered a crushing defeat. Before he set out, he didn't expect the Grand Essence Realm to be this powerful. He had no idea where Ning Cheng found the dozens of powerful primordial chaos sacred emperors of unknown origins. Just as Yin Xingwen was about to call them to stop, another battleship flew over from afar. The battleship stopped outside the battlefield at an extremely fast speed. Lu Dongzi appeared at the front of the battleship and shouted at Ning Cheng, who was standing by the defense array. "Brother Ning Cheng, I, Lu Dongzi, am here to help you." As he spoke, dozens of primordial chaos experts rushed out of the battleship, took out their magic treasures, and joined the melee. Lu Dongzi's group was all primordial chaos sacred emperors. None of them were Dao integration experts, nor did they bring the Dao court army. Clearly, they didn't come on behalf of the Grand Beginning Realm. Yin Xingwen's heart sank. The Grand Essence Realm had the upper hand. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao court army was far more numerous than the Grand Essence Realms. However, there was another more important reason. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao integration sacred emperors had the upper hand, and the primordial chaos experts were suppressing the Grand Essence Realm. Now that Qing Lan had come and Ao Beijiang had escaped, coupled with the help of Lu Dongzi and dozens of primordial chaos sacred emperors, the difference in strength was immediately revealed. It wasn't too obvious now. Once Qing Lan stopped one of the Dao integration sacred emperors, the Grand Essence Realm's Dao integration experts would deal with the primordial chaos sacred emperors. "Dao Lord Ning, everyone stop. Since Daoist Qing Lan is here, let's sit down and negotiate," Yin Xingwen said decisively. Ning Cheng ignored Yin Xingwen's words and said loudly, "Thank you, Brother Lu, for coming all the way here to help." After saying that, his tone became even more intense. "The Grand Essence Realm's Dao court army is shameless. They want to attack our land, kill our cultivators, and rob our resources. In order to protect us, Senior Qing Lan, who lives in seclusion in the Grand Essence Realm, has also come. Taisher and Taichu have both come to help. Now, it's finally our turn to attack. Daoist Black and White, follow me. Sha Su, mobilize the 10th Dao Court Army and lead the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court Army to attack and destroy the Grand Essence Realm's invading trash. Destroy the Grand Essence Realm's trash." Ning Cheng's words stirred up nearly 20 million Grand Essence Dao Court Army to counterattack. Under the guidance of Sha Su's army's array flags, the Grand Essence Dao Court Army, which originally relied on array formations to resist, suddenly scattered. The Grand Essence Dao Court Army was also led by a Primordial Essence Holy Emperor. Once the Grand Essence Dao Court Army fell into chaos, the Primordial Essence Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Dao Court knew that something was wrong and wanted to change the array. However, the Grand Essence Dao Court Army, Ning Cheng and Black and White Beard, were the two experts presiding over the array formation shift. Moreover, there were more than 10 million Grand Essence Dao Court Army led by more than 1 million array formation masters. The Grand Essence Dao Court Army, on the other hand, was a mix of people from several major Dao courts. Previously, they used their strength to suppress the Grand Essence Realm, making it impossible for the Grand Essence Realm to change the array formation. Now that the Primordial Essence Holy Emperor and Dao Unification Holy Emperor couldn't gain the upper hand, the Grand Essence Realm was about to turn from defense to offense. Even though they knew, the Grand Essence Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Realm couldn't respond in the same short period of time. Sure enough, the chaotic array formation of the Grand Essence Dao Court Army was reorganized in a short time. The Grand Essence Dao Court Army followed Sha Su's array formation masters out of the defense array and immediately began to interweave. As the person in charge of this battle, Yin Xingwen naturally saw the changes in the Grand Essence Dao Court Army and the Grand Essence Dao Court Army. Although Chu Manhe wasn't as good as him, she wasn't weak either. The more anxious he was, the easier it was for Chu Manhe. Just as Chu Manhe was thinking about how to injure Yin Xingwen, a voice came over. "Leave Yin to me. You deal with the rest." Along with the voice came two completely different Dao runes. Chu Manhe didn't care about these 2 Dao runes. She knew that the person who came was Qing Lan. She had also seen the process of Qing Lan pushing Ao Beijiang away. This person's strength might be above hers. Therefore, when Qing Lan came over, she immediately dodged and pounced on Wei Xinghao. Yan Binji and Wan Yi were half-step Dao integration experts and were veteran experts. However, the 2 of them still struggled to deal with Wei Xinghao. Yan Binji was even seriously injured. Chu Manhe was already far stronger than Wei Xinghao. Now that she joined the battle, the pressure on Wei Xinghao suddenly increased. The Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Lord Yi Qianhua, who was suppressed by Perpetual Moon Sex Wu Lin, felt extremely anxious when the Grand Essence Dao Court switched from defense to offense. Now that he saw the Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Integration Guardian Wei Xinghao in danger, he immediately thought of retreating. Originally, the Jade Clear Dao Court had sent out their army because the Grand Essence Realm was bound to lose. Now, it seemed that the Grand Essence Realm was getting stronger and stronger. If the Tai Dao Court army continued to fight, the consequences would be really unpredictable. If they didn't retreat at this time, the Jade Clear Dao Court might really suffer heavy losses. It wasn't worth it to stay here for a little bit of primal chaos chi. Jade Clear Dao Court army, retreat immediately. Wei Xingwading Guardian army, retreat. Yi Qianhua was extremely decisive. After deciding to retreat, he immediately issued a retreat order. The Taishan Dao Court had originally sent 1,000,000 Dao Court army symbolically. In their opinion, it would be too easy for the Grand Change Realm to crush the Grand Essence Realm. The Taishan Dao Court's Dao Lord Jie Xinshui originally didn't intend to send an army. Now that he had sent an army, it was just for show. That was why they were only doing some symbolic attacks from the corners. Now that the Grand Essence Realm was getting stronger and stronger, the Jade Clear Dao Court's main force had already retreated. If the Taishan Dao Court stayed here, they would be courting death. Almost at the same time that Yi Qianhua issued the retreat order, the Taishan Dao Court's army also issued the retreat order. Once tens of millions of people retreated, the whole scene became even more chaotic. Ning Cheng and the black and white beard man secretly sighed in pity. Yi Qianhua was too decisive and retreated too quickly. Their trap and kill array couldn't even move in time. Lei Xiuran of the Cloudlight Dao Court was greedy. Although he felt that the Grand Essence Realm was moving the trap and kill array, he still wanted to use the gap in the Grand Essence Realm to rush out of the defense array to defeat the Grand Essence Realm army in one go. Lei Xiuran's idea wasn't wrong. If there was no array Dao expert like the black and white beard man to guide them, and if the Jade Clear Dao Court's tens of millions of Dao Court army hadn't suddenly retreated, it might really be possible. Now that the Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Court army had suddenly retreated, the Taishan Dao Court's Dao Court army had also suddenly retreated, which suddenly caught him off guard. Before Lei Xiuran could issue the retreat order, Chu Bai in the distance let out a shrill cry. Then, thousands of Dao runes exploded in the void, and countless law auras collapsed. Under the pressure of the majestic aura, it was like a bucket of water suddenly dispersing, dissipating rapidly. These dissipated Dao runes and law auras directly tore the Dao Court army in front of them into pieces, and finally blasted on the Grand Essence Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array, causing the Grand Essence Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array to shake again and again. Chu Bai had died. Lei Xiuran's heart sank, and a chill surged in his heart. A Dao Integration Divine Emperor had fallen in the middle of a battle with the Dao Court army without even a chance to escape. This was too shocking. At this moment, he didn't hesitate at all and issued the retreat order without hesitation. The moment Chu Bai died, the entire Dao Court army of the Luing Dao Court descended into chaos. More than half of the Grand Essence Dao Court's confinement killing array had been shifted, and countless Dao Court army of the Luing Dao Court became powerless under the siege of the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Yi Qianhua, Wei Xinghao, and the others, who had retreated to the distance, also sighed in their hearts. From today onwards, the Luing Dao Court was completely finished. Wei Xinghao also knew that the reason why Chu Bai died was because of him. He immediately fled, but Chu Manhe didn't chase after him. Instead, she attacked Chu Bai. Chu Bai's strength was the weakest, and now that 3 Dao integration divine emperors attacked him at the same time, it would be strange if he didn't die. On the other side, Feng Xian's soul had dissipated, and Chu Bai had died. When he used the escape talisman to escape, he began to swear that he would never come to the Grand Essence realm again in this life. Chapter 1170. Of the 5 Dao integration sacred emperors, only Yin Xingwen was still blocking Jialan. Seeing the Grand Essence Dao court army's momentum gradually rising and forming an array to suppress them, Yin Xingwen knew that the situation was hopeless. The World Stone was good, but one had to have the ability to grab it. He then asked the Grand Essence Dao court army to retreat. At this time, the Grand Essence realm was still changing the trap and kill array. If they waited any longer, they might not even have the chance to retreat. Even the Realm Lord Yin Xingwen retreated. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao court army retreated frantically. At this time, no one cared about the Dao court army's momentum and coercion anymore. Countless means of retreat were used, and for a moment, the space law was in chaos. All kinds of escape lights and Dao runes crisscrossed in the blood mist. All the cultivators with means had escaped. Those who didn't have time to escape had been trapped by the Grand Essence Dao court army led by Ning Cheng and the Black and Whitebeards through the trap and kill array. The Tai Dao court army had nearly 50 million soldiers. Of the 40 million soldiers who participated in the battle, almost all the experts at the second step of Dao proving had retreated. Nearly 20 million soldiers were trapped by the trap and kill array. The Grand Essence Dao court army in the trap and kill array could only face the Grand Essence realm. In the trap and kill array, Dao runes roared and magic treasures flashed. The space became chaotic. After the experts died, the light of Dao runes and the power of law continued to dissipate. Screams and the smell of blood mixed together, making the surrounding void seem a little cold. Yin Xingwen looked at the Grand Essence Dao court army besieged in the trap and kill array with a pale face. His lips trembled. No matter how strong the Grand Essence Dao integration sacred emperor was, he couldn't do anything to Yin Xingwen. However, Yin Xingwen could slaughter the Grand Essence Dao court army. Not only Yin Xingwen, but the other primordial essence sacred emperors also had ugly expressions. They finally understood why the Grand Essence realm could wipe out Feng Xian and the Luiying Dao court army. With this kind of strength, how difficult could it be to wipe out the entire Dao court army? Stop! Lei Shiran couldn't help but call out in a hoarse voice. Of the 20 million trapped Dao court soldiers, his cloud-like Dao court accounted for more than 10 million. A few million belonged to the Jade Clear Dao court. As for the Glazed Pearl Dao court's army, most of them had already been killed. Ning Cheng's gaze swept past Lei Shiran. Lei Shiran had narrow eyes and a square face, wearing a green robe. When he saw Lei Shiran, he actually had a familiar feeling. Seeing Ning Cheng looking at him, Lei Shiran spoke up again. Dao Lord Ning Cheng, it's my fault that my cloud-light Dao court invaded your Grand Essence realm. As long as I, Lei Shiran, am able to do it, Lei Shiran, will not say no. Ning Cheng sneered. Even at this time, this fellow still did not forget to win the hearts of the people. At this moment, Silver Dragon Clan's Gong Wu suddenly came to Ning Cheng's side and whispered, Dao Lord, this Lei Shiran is the one who bought Shi Yang. I didn't expect this person to be a Dao Lord of a realm. Ning Cheng suddenly understood, no wonder he felt that it was somewhat familiar. Back then, Gong Wu had told him that the person who had bought released soil from the Thousand Thunder Void City was someone with narrow eyes, a square face, a green robe, and his surname was Lei. Many thanks, Court Pillar Gong. After Ning Cheng thanked Gong Wu, he looked at Lei Shiran and said with a smile, I heard that Dao Lord Lei bought a piece of released soil from the Thousand Thunder Void City many years ago. If Dao Lord Lei can give me this piece of released soil and give me 100 top-grade divine spiritual veins and 100,000 high-grade divine spiritual veins, this matter is not non-negotiable. Lei Shiran looked at Ning Cheng in surprise. It wasn't that Ning Cheng's asking price was too high, but Ning Cheng's asking price was too low. Apart from the preciousness of released soil, Ning Cheng's asking price really wasn't high. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Lei Xiaoran didn't even try to bargain and said without hesitation, "Deal." After that, he threw a ring to Ning Cheng without hesitation, as if he didn't care if Ning Cheng went back on his words. Ning Cheng was also a Dao lord of a realm, so he naturally wouldn't go back on his words because of this. When he found that the ring Lei Xiaoran handed him did indeed contain 100 top-grade divine spiritual veins and 100,000 high-grade divine spiritual veins, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. These Dao lords were truly rich. Most importantly, one of the jade boxes contained Shi Yang. Lei Xiaoran felt very proud that Shi Yang was given away so easily. The last time he obtained the Luing Dao Quartz Jess World, he didn't open it and gave it to Yan Ji. From this, it could be seen that it contained a very rich fortune. When the time came, he would have to remind Yan Ji. Seeing Ning Cheng put away the ring, Lei Xiaoran suddenly said, "I have an additional piece of news for Dao Lord Ning. The Thousand Leaps Void City doesn't just have my released soil. If Dao Lord Ning goes to the Thousand Leaps Void City in the future, you will definitely gain a lot." Ning Cheng knew that even if Lei Xiaoran was telling the truth, he didn't have any good intentions in his words. He didn't care about Lei Xiaoran's meaning. Instead, he threw out an array flag, opened a gap in the trap and killing array, and said, "All Cloudlight Dao Court army, leave now. I'll give you half an incense stick's worth of time." If you haven't walked out of the trap and killing array after half an incense stick's worth of time, the array will close again. All Dao Court soldiers who want to fish in troubled waters will be killed directly. Ning Cheng's last sentence made the Jade Clear Dao Court and Luing Dao Court's remaining Dao Court army not dare to move. Now that the Dao Court army in the trap and killing array was clearly separated, anyone who moved would be seen immediately. Seeing the densely packed Cloudlight Dao Court's army leave the trap and killing array, Chu Man has said in confusion, "Ning Cheng, it took you a lot of effort to trap these people. If you let them go for these God's spiritual veins, it's not worth it." Ning Cheng smiled, "If I can trap them twice, I can trap them a third time. If they dare to come again, I will dare to trap and kill them again." Ning Cheng sent out this sentence with his Dao runes, and almost everyone could hear it. The Dao Court's army that walked out of the trap and killing array had already made up their minds. Even if they had to quit the Dao Court army, they would never come to this damned place again. Ning Cheng also knew that Chu Manhe was right. If he killed all the Dao Court's army, the spoils of war would probably be far more than what he wanted. However, Ning Cheng didn't do that. Firstly, he was indeed a bit lenient. After all, he came from Earth and wasn't used to such a massacre. Secondly, he didn't think it was necessary to do so. Even if he killed the Dao Court's army in the trap and killing array, it wouldn't change the fact that the Grand Essence realm was far weaker than the Grand Simplicity realm. It would only increase the Grand Simplicity realm's desire and hatred for the Grand Simplicity realm. Besides, he had already obtained the released soil, which was the most important thing to him. Looking at the Cloudlight Dao Court's Yi Qianhua from the Jade Clear Dao Court took a deep breath and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng from afar. Dao Lord Ning's broad-mindedness is truly admirable. Although my Jade Clear Dao Court isn't rich, we can still take out 100 top-grade God spiritual veins and 100,000 high-grade God spiritual veins. Can Dao Lord Ning please let go of my Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Court army? Ning Cheng said in a calm voice, "My Grand Simplicity realm loves peace and doesn't like killing. You, the Grand Simplicity realm, have always been aggressive. Some people even sent innocent Dao Court's army to their deaths for their own desires. Does such a person deserve to be the lord of a realm?" After disdaining Yin Xingwen in public, Ning Cheng continued, "Dao Lord Yi, don't forget that Thunder Dao Lord also took out a piece of released soil." Yi Qianhua showed an ugly smile and said with some difficulty, "Released soil is something that can only be found by chance. My Jade Clear Dao Court isn't as rich as the Cloudlight Dao Court, but I can take out half a heaven-raising Dao fruit." Heaven-raising Dao fruit. Ning Cheng's heart moved. It was a treasure that could help one comprehend the Dao unification realm. Although he didn't think he needed it, there were too many primordial chaos holy emperors in the Grand Simplicity realm who needed it. Unfortunately, there was only half a heaven-raising Dao fruit. In fact, even if one had a heaven-raising Dao fruit, the chance of comprehending the Tao unification realm was very slim, let alone half. But at the same time, even the slimmest chance was still an opportunity. Therefore, after Yi Qianhua mentioned the heaven-raising Tao fruit, it immediately attracted a lot of attention. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before saying, "Okay, half it is." Seeing the Jade Clear Tao Court and Cloudlight Tao Court's trapped army retreating, the Luing Tao Court's remaining army in the Death Trap array suddenly panicked. Several Luing Tao Court's army wanted to follow the Jade Clear Tao Court's people. But just as they moved, they were discovered and killed. Seeing the remaining 2 to 3 million Luing Tao Court's army, Yin Xingwen knew that he couldn't pretend not to know. Helpless, he could only cup his fists towards Ning Cheng. "Tao Lord Ning, can you release the Luing Tao Court's army? I'm also willing to pay the same amount of top-grade and high-grade God spiritual veins." The Luing Tao Court only had 2 to 3 million people. Yin Xingwen was willing to pay so many God spiritual veins. Apart from showing that he didn't give up on the Grand Change Tao Court's army, there was another reason. He probably wanted to arrange for someone to take over the Luing Tao Court. The Luing Tao Court had fought 2 wars, and the Tao Court's army had been completely destroyed. Not only had 2 Tao Lords fallen, but even the Tao Unification Holy Emperor had also fallen. It was the most appropriate time to take over the Luing Tao Court. Ning Qing knew that even if he didn't agree, Yin Xingwen could still take over the Luing Tao Court. He could even save some God spiritual veins. Just as Ning Cheng was about to speak, a sound transmission suddenly fell into his ear. Yin Xingwen invited several Grand Tao Courts to send out their army mainly because he has a small jar of primal qi. This sound transmission only said one sentence before disappearing. Ning Cheng had no idea who sent it. However, Ning Cheng's heart moved. He had the 5 elemental primal qi, but he didn't have primal qi. The difference between primal qi and the 5 elemental primal qi was that primal qi wasn't fused with the 5 elemental laws. If Starwind World Lord truly wants to save the Luing Tao Court's army, I would naturally be more than happy to do so. Just like the previous 2 Tao Courts, Starwind World Lord has a small jar of primal qi, which he has to take out, Ning Cheng said calmly. Yin Xingwen's heart thumped. He knew that someone must have betrayed him. If he didn't take out the primal qi, he probably wouldn't be able to touch the Luing Tao Court anymore. If he didn't save the millions of Luing Tao Court's army that he could save, it would be strange if he could still take over the Luing Tao Court. Ning Cheng didn't care about Yin Xingwen's hesitation. At this moment he finally had the time to bow to Qinglan. "Ning Cheng thanks Senior Qinglan for saving me. I also thank Senior for helping the Grand Essence Realm." Chapter 1171. Qinglan was tall and didn't have a beard. He looked like an ordinary middle-aged man, but the Tao charm around him was like a vast universe. He looked at Ning Cheng for a while before nodding and saying with a smile, "You're very good. You helped the Grand Essence Tao Court form the Grand Essence Tao Court army with your Tao Essence strength. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid that the Grand Essence realm would have become a tragedy." Ning Cheng also smiled. Fortunately, Senior Qinglan arrived in time. Otherwise, I might have died here. Qinglan also chuckled. "First, I didn't arrive in time. I've been here for a long time, but I didn't make a move. Second, you don't have to play tricks in front of me. Even if I didn't come, Ao Beijiang might not have been able to kill you." Ning Cheng didn't answer. Qinglan had arrived a long time ago, and he had already guessed it. As for what this veteran Tao integration Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Realm was waiting for, he didn't know. However, Qinglan's second sentence was right. Even if Qinglan didn't come, it wouldn't be easy for Ao Beijiang to kill him. "Okay, I agree." After Yin Xingwen finished speaking, he threw out a pitch-black jar and a ring. The jar contains primal chaos qi, which is also my most precious item. The ring contains God's spirit veins. Take a look. As long as you can release all the trapped Tao Court army of the Grand Change Realm, what's the harm in giving them to you? Ning Cheng grabbed the small jar and the ring and scanned them with his spiritual consciousness. He immediately knew that Yin Xingwen wasn't lying. He didn't care about Yin Xingwen's actions and opened the trap and kill array without hesitation. Looking at the Dao court army rushing out of the trap and kill array, Ning Qing knew that Yin Xingwen's status as the realm lord of the Grand Change realm wouldn't fall because of this army. Instead, it would rise to another level. Before, he only relied on his own strength to become the realm lord. But now, he had a Dao court that belonged to him. Realm Lord Xingwen, seeing that we are all from the 5 grand realms, I don't want to kill these innocent Dao court army soldiers who were instigated by you. Otherwise, do you think you can save so many people with this little thing? I killed them, and the spoils of war I collected from them were probably more than that. But if there's a next time, don't blame me for being impolite. At that time, it won't be your Grand Simplicity Dao Court's army that comes to my Grand Simplicity realm. Instead, I will bring my Grand Simplicity army to your Grand Simplicity realm. Ning Qing also knew that he was just saying it. As for taking the army to the Grand Change realm, he wouldn't do it unless he was crazy. The Dao Court army obviously wouldn't use their full strength to invade. Once Tai Su attacked Tai Yi, his battle prowess would increase by more than a few times with the help of the Realm Protection Grand Formation. Besides, the Grand Essence realm had Qinglan, and the Grand Change realm probably had more people like Qinglan. Yin Xingwen, Yin Yang look on, Yin Lan, Xing, Tian Xingwen, and Ti, Qin, King Dao. Giving away so many things, yet still looking at Ning Cheng and making sarcastic remarks, Yin Xingwen felt a strong sense of grievance in his heart. Qing, Dao, Ling Lord, Lan, Qing, Qing Long Qing, Qing, Xing Qing, Ti, the chaotic and murderous Grand Essence realm regained its calm once again. Even the court leaders of the Grand Essence Dao court army came forward to salute Ning Cheng and then left with their army. Soon, only 100 people remained in this bloody void battlefield. Ning Cheng walked up to Lu Dongzi and handed the universe vegetation to Lu Dongzi with both hands. He then said gratefully, "Brother Lu, thank you for bringing people to help. If it weren't for you, I, Grand Essence, would have fallen into a more passive state. This book is finally returned to its rightful owner. Ning Cheng thanks you again." Lu Dongzi put away the universe vegetation. Ning Cheng returned and laughed. "Ning Cheng, we're close friends. Don't be so polite. It's a pity that I can't influence the Grand Beginning realm to mobilize the army. I didn't expect your Dao court to be so powerful. Even if I didn't come, you wouldn't be afraid of Yin Xingwen. If Brother Lu didn't come, I wouldn't be so relaxed. Let's all come to my Grand Essence Dao court as guests. It's not good to stand outside." Ning Cheng wasn't talking nonsense. If Lu Dongzi hadn't brought dozens of primordial chaos experts, Grand Essence might have won, but it would have been difficult to trap so many Dao court army. Under Ning Cheng's lead, the group entered the guest hall of the Grand Essence Dao court. Lu Dongzi and the others had come to help. Moreover, the Grand Essence Dao court had won another battle. Although they didn't kill many this time, it greatly boosted Grand Essence's morale. Ning Cheng was even more enthusiastic towards Lu Dongzi and the others. He gave them all kinds of Dao fruits just to entertain Lu Dongzi and the other holy emperors from the Grand Beginning realm. Although Shao Qiandong of the Grand Beginning realm was also among Ning Cheng's welcome list, he clearly felt that Ning Cheng's welcome towards him was much less. Shao Qiandong couldn't express his dissatisfaction. When Ning Cheng needed it most, he hesitated and didn't come forward to help. Moreover, the strength of the Grand Essence realm was far beyond his and Li Jianqing's estimation. If Grand Essence and Grand Beginning confronted each other, it was really hard to predict who would win in the end. The guests and the host enjoyed the banquet. In the end, Ning Cheng personally sent Lu Dongzi out of the Grand Essence realm. Qinglan also exchanged information with Ning Cheng and left the Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng could see that Qinglan didn't think much of Kang Xiushan and Shuriqing. Moreover, Shuriqing and Kang Xiushan were also a little afraid of Qinglan, so they tried not to get together. After this battle, Ning Cheng's prestige in the Grand Essence realm soared to the sky. It could be said that Dao Ning Cheng of the Grand Essence Dao court had become a true Dao lord at this time. As long as Ning Cheng issued a Dao Lord order, even Wang Huazhong of the River Luo sacred sect wouldn't dare to disobey the Dao Lord order. "Dao Lord Ning, I have to return to the Grand Beginning realm first. When it's time to set up the teleportation array, I will come to Grand Essence to invite Dao Lord. Xiao Qiandong became more polite. He could see that Ning Qing didn't like him. Originally, he wanted to take Ning Qing away after the battle. But now it seemed that he shouldn't even mention it. Ning Qing nodded. Okay, then Court Pillar Li Feng, please send off Dao friend Xiao. Xiao Qiandong had helped Shi Yiqing a little. Otherwise, Shi Yiqing might have suffered some serious injuries. Therefore, even though Xiao Qiandong was a snake and a rat, Ning Qing still politely asked Li Feng to send off Xiao Qiandong. Xiao Qiandong felt helpless in his heart. Lu Dongzi was a primordial chaos holy emperor, and yet Ning Qing had personally sent him off. Moreover, Ning Qing had only asked Li Feng, a court pillar, to send him off. Moreover, he could also guess that if the Grand Beginning Realm really invited Ning Qing to set up an array in the future, it wouldn't be easy to invite him. Ning Qing had always followed this principle. How others treated him, he would treat others the same way. If Xiao Qiandong wanted to take advantage of him without putting in any effort, then he could only dream about it. Ning Qing, let's go to the Grand Essence Sea. Seeing that Ning Qing's matters were over, Chu Manhe spoke up. Okay, let's go now. Ning Qing was also thinking about the innate dragon bead in the Grand Essence Sea's dragon washing pool. Now that the Grand Essence realm was under his protection, the first thing he needed to do was get the innate dragon bead. Outside the Grand Essence dragon washing pool, 36 primordial chaos powerhouses stood according to their positions. Under the guidance of the Black-White Beards and Pang Yuan, each of them held an array flag in their hands. The Black-White Beards made a move, and the 36 array flags blasted into the edge of the dragon washing pool along with 36 primordial chaos law forces. The entire Grand Essence Sea began to tumble at this moment. Even the Sunken Fish Palace and the Silver Dragon Clan, which were far away from the dragon washing pool, trembled slightly. Powerhouses from these two places rushed out of their sects to find out what was going on. The Dao Charm law forces outside the dragon washing pool continuously squeezed together, and the water vapor in the dragon washing pool instantly dried up under these law forces. The rumbling sounds grew louder and louder, and the dragon washing pool finally cracked open. A fist-sized cyan bead suddenly rose from the middle of the cracked dragon washing pool, bringing with it a myriad of pure essence qi. Ning Qing, this is the innate dragon bead of the dragon washing pool. Hurry up and seal the innate dragon bead. Pang Yuan immediately shouted at Ning Qing when he saw the cyan bead. Without waiting for Pang Yuan's reminder, Ning Qing rushed up and put away the innate dragon bead. Ning Qing naturally knew about treasures like the innate dragon bead. He had once obtained one, and the Grand Essence Trap and Kill Array Formation's core treasure was an innate dragon bead. After Ning Qing put away the innate dragon bead, the rumbling sounds of the Grand Essence Sea immediately subsided and soon returned to normal. However, the dragon washing pool here no longer had the pure spiritual spirit essence qi from before. Only the aura of the dragon washing pool had yet to dissipate. Many thanks for your help. Otherwise, I would never have obtained this innate dragon bead. Ning Qing held the innate dragon bead in his hand and thanked everyone with cupped fists. The Black-White Beards laughed. This was originally yours. The reason why we could recover so quickly is because of your dragon washing pool. Ning Qing put away the innate dragon bead and said again, although the Grand Essence Realm's laws are incomplete, I'm still working hard. If you want to live in the Grand Essence Realm, you can look for spiritual mountains in the Grand Essence Realm. Without waiting for Ning Qing to finish, Pang Yuan stood up. We're all friends. Let me speak this time. Everyone discussed it before. 12 of you, like me, want to stay in the Grand Essence Realm. The rest want to go to the Void to look for opportunities, so we won't be staying here for the time being. When Ning Qing heard that most people wanted to leave the Grand Essence Realm and enter the Void, he felt a little reluctant in his heart. But he still spoke up, whether you leave or stay here, everyone is here to help me, Ning Qing. In the future, you will always be my friends. I have nothing else to give you, but my friendship with Ning Qing. Thank you, friends, for helping me, Ning Qing. If you have any difficulties in the future, as long as you come to me, Ning Qing, I will definitely help you. I've prepared a few rings here, each with 3 top-grade spirit veins, 1,000 high-grade spirit veins, and 100 million spirit crystals. This is a small token of my appreciation, and I hope that you won't refuse it. Everyone felt overjoyed. Ning Cheng's gift was quite generous for a person. Don't look at Tao Lords taking out IOU and top-grade spirit veins. But how many Tao Lords did they have? Most of these spirit veins were the wealth of a Tao court. More importantly, it was Ning Cheng's promise of friendship. From this battle, all the people could see that Ning Cheng's potential was huge. As a primordial chaos holy emperor, he really didn't amount to much in the endless void. Who could be sure that nothing would happen in the future? With Ning Cheng as a friend, no one would refuse. Chapter 1172. In the Grand Change Realm's main mountain, Yin Xingwen's expression was gloomy. Although the hall was full of people, the silence was somewhat oppressive. After a long time, Ao Beijiang, who was sitting a little further away, stood up. Brother Xingwen, I was too timid this time and was scared away by Qing Lan. If it wasn't for me, perhaps everyone's losses would have been smaller. As a Tao Integration Divine Emperor who had survived the Second Blight, it was indeed extremely embarrassing for Ao Beijiang to expose his own scars. However, he had no choice. He couldn't leave the Grand Change Realm. Since he couldn't leave, he had to bow his head to Yin Xingwen. Fortunately, Yin Xingwen was his good friend, so bowing his head wasn't a big deal. Moreover, he believed that no one was stupid. Even if Ao Beijiang hadn't fled, everyone would still have suffered losses. Yin Xingwen shook his head. Beijiang, you're not to blame this time. Qing Lan was already hiding to the side. He was waiting for that opportunity. If you hadn't left, I'm afraid you would have been in danger. Although the several primordial chaos divine emperors in the hall despised Ao Beijiang for fleeing shamelessly, they knew that Yin Xingwen was speaking the truth. If Ao Beijiang hadn't fled decisively, he might have really been killed by Qing Lan. Ao Beijiang cupped his fists and said again, this time, the Grand Change Realm suffered heavy losses and the Glazed Pearl Tao Court was crippled. The Grand Change Realm has always had 5 Tao courts that supported each other and were extremely stable. Now that the Glazed Pearl Tao Court is gone, I suggest that Xingwen Realm Lord come forward and establish a new Tao Court. The new Tao Court can change its name to the Grand Change Tao Court. Yin Xingwen nodded in his heart. Ao Beijiang's words were like that of a brother. Standing up to support him establishing the Grand Change Tao Court was indeed a great support. However, he knew very well that it was possible to establish a Tao Court but impossible to establish a Tai Tao Court. Sure enough, as soon as Ao Beijiang finished speaking, Jie Xinshui of the Grand Mystery Tao Court stood up. The Grand Mystery Tao Court agrees with Brother Beijiang's suggestion. The Grand Change Realm cannot lose the Glazed Pearl Tao Court. I also agree with Xingwen Realm Lord overseeing the restructuring of the Glazed Pearl Tao Court. However, the Great Change World's 5 Great Tao Courts are combined to form the Great Change Tao Court. Changing the name of the Glazed Pearl Tao Court to the Great Change Tao Court is somewhat inappropriate. Just as Jie Xinshui finished speaking, Lei Xiuran and Yi Qianhua stood up. Even the court pillar representing the Yaohua Tao Court, Gu Ruoxi, stood up. They all expressed that the Glazed Ing Tao Court was not suitable to change its name. Initially, when Yin Xingwen presided over the Tao Court's army's siege of the Grand Essence Realm, the other Tao Court's Tao Lords did not have to give Yin Xingwen face. They did not even attend Yin Xingwen's invitation. However, with the decline of the Glazed Ing Tao Court, the Glazed Ing Tao Court would definitely be taken over by Yin Xingwen. Yin Xingwen was originally a world lord. Now that he had taken over the Glazed Ing Tao Court, he would definitely be much stronger than before. In the face of Yin Xingwen who was getting stronger and stronger, they didn't want to make things too tense. It could be said that the only one who benefited from the 2 defeats of the Tai Tao Court army was none other than the Tai Realm Lord, Yin Xingwen. If Lei Xiuran and the others hadn't followed him to the Grand Essence Realm, they would have even suspected Yin Xingwen's conspiracy. Feeling helpless in his heart, Yin Xingwen had no choice but to stand up and say, several Tao Lords have a point. I will reorganize the glazed Yingdao court. As for the name, it will still be the glazed Yingdao court. One more thing. Does anyone have any thoughts on the defeat of the Taiyidao court army? No one spoke, and everyone remained silent. Yin Xingwen sighed in his heart. The Dao court army really couldn't do without him. Normally, he wouldn't be able to see it. But at such a critical time, it clearly showed itself. In fact, in Yin Xingwen's heart, it made sense to launch a counterattack against the Grand Essence Realm at this time. The Grand Essence Realm had just defeated the Taiyidao court army, but the Grand Essence Realm had borrowed a lot of its power. After this battle, Xiao Qiandong of the Grand Beginning Realm would definitely leave. Moreover, Qing Lan might also leave. Coupled with the unknown experts invited by Ning Cheng, he didn't know how many of them would stay. As for the Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors of the Absolute Beginning Pill Association, they definitely wouldn't stay. The Grand Change Realm was different. The Grand Change Realm could easily find more Dao Integration Holy Emperors. If the major Dao courts worked together, it wouldn't be impossible to find 7 or 8 Dao Integration Holy Emperors to go to the Grand Essence Realm together. It could be said that if they launched a counterattack at this time, their chances of winning would be very high. Unfortunately, he was the only one who thought so. No one else was willing to speak up. Seeing that no one stood up to speak, Yin Xingwen had to take the initiative to speak up. In that case, let's end this discussion here. I will establish the glazed Yingdao court as soon as possible and enhance the strength of the Grand Change Realm. Everyone stood up one after another and left. Yin Xingwen sighed in his heart. At this moment he even envied Ning Cheng. Although the Grand Essence Realm was weak, Ning Cheng's status in the Grand Essence Realm was higher than his in the Grand Change Realm. Previously, he didn't care much about whether he could really speak to the entire Grand Change Realm. This time, when the Grand Essence Realm discovered the Mountain of the World, he still couldn't snatch it. If he was strong enough and could snatch the Mountain of the World, he would most likely become the first expert to set foot on the third step. But because he didn't have enough strength, he couldn't obtain the Mountain of the World. Ao Beijiang didn't leave. After sending everyone away, Yin Xingwen was about to continue asking about the Mountain of the World when he suddenly received a message. After sending out the same message, he looked at Ao Beijiang and smiled. Beijiang, this Feng Xian really doesn't want to give up. He even came here to find me. Ao Beijiang sighed in his heart but said, Brother Xingwen, I suspect that Feng Xian didn't come to find you this time because of the Grand Essence Realm. I know this person a little, and I believe he doesn't have the guts to go to the Grand Essence Realm. Yin Xingwen nodded. I know even if you don't say it. He should be here for his 7th brother and 11th brother. While the two spoke, Feng Xian was brought in by someone. Feng Xian greets Xingwen Realm Master and Brother Beijiang. This time, Feng Xian's strength isn't good enough, so I came to ask for forgiveness. Feng Xian immediately apologized in a low voice. After saying these words, perhaps only he knew the grievance in his heart. As the palace master of the Boundless Palace, how many people would come to the Boundless Palace to listen to his Dao discussion conference? But today he had to beg others in a low voice. Perhaps only he could understand this feeling. Because of Ning City, his Boundless Palace was no longer the Boundless Palace of the past. Even if he didn't die, he knew in his heart that the glory of the Boundless Palace was over. The generosity and prestige that he had built up over the years had probably been used up by now. Under such circumstances, he had to come to Yin Xingwen. Feng Qi and Feng Shi were killed in the heavens beyond. He, Feng Xian, couldn't swallow this anger. What's more, he had to bring back Feng Qi's body. Even if there was no corpse, he had to find the trace of 7-colored phoenix bloodline in Feng Qi. Daoist friend Xian is too polite. The situation at the time wasn't your fault. Since Daoist friend Xian is here, please take a seat. Yin Xingwen still had a demeanor. Even though Feng Xian had escaped, he still showed some politeness. Feng Xian didn't mention the things they had discussed before. Instead, he said, Realm Master Xingwen, my Boundless Palace has been operating in the void for many years and has accumulated some treasures. I once obtained a lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune. Yin Xingwen suddenly stood up and asked excitedly, Taoist friend Sion, did you say that you once obtained a lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune? He couldn't help but feel excited. Why did he lead the Tao court's army to besiege the Grand Essence realm? Wasn't it because Ao Beijiang said that Ning City had the World Mountain? The green lotus of good fortune was a treasure no worse than the World Mountain. Moreover, it was a good fortune treasure. Feng Sion's purpose for mentioning the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune at this time was obvious. Feng Sion nodded affirmatively and said in a calm tone, "Yes, it is indeed the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune. Realm Master Xingwen might know that my Feng clan has the bloodline inheritance of the ancient seven-colored phoenix. This inheritance may be useless to others, but it is the only way out for my Feng clan. My younger brother, Feng Qi, is the only inheritor of the seven-colored phoenix bloodline in the Feng clan. Now, he has fallen in the heavens beyond." Yin Xingwen did not wait for Feng Sion to continue and took the initiative to say, "I understand what you mean, Taoist Sion. Since I've agreed, I have to go with you. No matter what, I will help you find the trace of the seven-colored phoenix bloodline in Feng Qi." When Feng Sion heard this, he immediately stood up excitedly. "Thank you, Star Rune Boundary Lord. As long as Star Rune Boundary Lord can help me find the trace of Phoenix bloodline of the Feng family, Feng Sion's life is Boundary Lord's. After that, I want to invite you to the Boundless Palace. I want to personally deliver the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune." Yin Xingwen smiled slightly and nodded. "Okay, in that case, we will go to the heavens beyond after I've settled the matters of the Tao court. By the way, Beijiang can also go with me." Ao Beijiang opened his mouth but did not say what he wanted to say in the end. He thought that Feng Sion's two younger brothers had ordinary cultivation levels, so the person who had killed them was definitely not the terrifying person he had imagined. In any case, he did not want to go to the heavens beyond now. Even if he wanted to go, he would have to wait until he reached the third step. Great Essence Mountain was Ning Cheng's residence. In addition to Ning Cheng, there were 12 primordial chaos sacred emperors, including Chu Manha. Originally, these 12 primordial chaos sacred emperors had not left the Great Essence realm, and Ning Cheng had wanted to find another place for them. However, these primordial chaos sacred emperors had taken a fancy to Great Essence Mountain. Fortunately, Great Essence Mountain was vast and Ning Cheng had many supreme-grade divine spirit meridians. Therefore, he simply invited everyone to live in Great Essence Mountain. Ning Cheng also stayed in Great Essence Mountain to stabilize his cultivation level. He was at the middle stage primordial Tao realm, which was already considered an expert in the Great Essence realm. Ning Cheng knew very well that his strength was not worth mentioning in the Great Change realm. Ning Cheng urgently needed to go to the Great Change realm. Shi Qianghua was in the Great Change realm, so he could not bring the Tao court army there. The only way was to find Qianghua with a high cultivation level. Chapter 1173. After the 5 Grand Realms experienced the 2 battles of Grand Essence and Grand Change, the 5 Grand Realms suddenly calmed down. Not only did the 5 Grand Realms calm down, but even this part of the void also became very quiet. Ning Cheng stayed in seclusion in the Grand Essence Mountain. From time to time, he would discuss the Tao with the Tao fusion powerhouses from the Perpetual Moon sect. As a result, his cultivation became more and more stable. Coupled with the rich spiritual spirit essence qi in the Grand Essence Mountain, his cultivation continued to rise. Ning Ruolin, Yan Ji, and Luofei cultivated in such a place, and with Ning Cheng's guidance, their cultivation progressed even faster than Ning Cheng's. 2 years passed by in a flash. On this day, Ning Cheng had just finished discussing the Tao with Pang Yuan and the black and white bearded man when someone suddenly touched the defensive array. His spiritual consciousness swept out and saw Li Feng standing outside the defensive array with a low-level cultivator he didn't know. Li Feng was the pillar of the Grand Essence Tao Court. The Grand Essence Tao Court didn't have any defensive arrays. Therefore, apart from Ning Cheng, Li Feng had the highest status. But Li Feng, who had the highest status, brought an eternal cultivator here to find him. Something must have happened. Ning Cheng immediately opened the defensive array and invited Li Feng into the Grand Essence Mountain where he discussed the Tao with others. Court Pillar Li, this is? Ning Cheng looked at the eternal level cultivator behind Li Feng in doubt. He could tell that Li Feng had brought this eternal level cultivator to him. Li Feng pointed to the eternal cultivator and said, "He came back to the Grand Essence realm and found the Grand Essence Tao Court. He said that he had something urgent to discuss with you." Seeing Ning Cheng looking over, the eternal cultivator quickly stepped forward and bowed to Ning Cheng. Junior Lu Shima, entrusted by Senior Jiang Man and Senior Mu Yueping, came to see Senior Ning. Hearing the words Jiang Man and Mu Yueping, Ning Cheng immediately asked, "Where are Jiang Man and his wife? Why didn't they come by themselves?" Ning Cheng had met Jiang Man and Mu Yueping in the Grand Essence Sea. The two of them were honest and upright and had even lent Ning Cheng the Karma Grand Spirit technique. It's just that Ning Cheng hadn't cultivated this spirit technique. Therefore, when Ning Cheng heard the news about the two of them, he quickly asked. Lu Shima quickly replied, "Senior Jiang Man and Senior Mu Yueping once came to Heaven Essence Sacred City. At that time, Tao Monarch wasn't in Heaven Essence Sacred City. The two seniors felt very happy about Tao Monarch taking control of the Grand Essence Tao Court. Later, when they heard that the Tao Lord needed the 5 soils, the two seniors decided to search for information on the 5 soils. A few years ago, when Senior Jiang Man learned that there was the primordial growing soil in the beyond of heaven and earth, he immediately decided to head there. Before Senior Jiang Man went to the beyond of heaven and earth, he asked me to report this matter to Tao Lord. Although I had the help of Senior Jiang Man's talisman, my cultivation was still too low. It took me a few years to rush back to Tai Su. While speaking, Lu Shima took out a video crystal ball and handed it to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was on the crystal ball and he immediately knew that Lu Shima was telling the truth. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had really gone to the beyond of heaven and earth. From the looks of it, when Jiang Man and Mu Yueping came to the Heaven Essence Sacred City, he should have returned to the 4 grand starry skies. This was not the first time Ning Cheng had heard of the beyond of heaven and earth. He had not expected that there would be news of the breathing soil there. Breathing soil was one of the most precious materials in the vast universe. It was even more precious than primal chaos chi. If such a thing appeared in the beyond of heaven and earth, Jiang Man and Mu Yueping would definitely not be able to obtain it. Ning Cheng also knew their purpose, which was to help him find out where the breathing soil had gone. Ning Cheng felt increasingly grateful to Jiang Man and his wife. They were indeed friends. When he had been chased by Deacon Xia, Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had also spared no effort to help him. Now that the two of them had gone to the beyond of heaven and earth and were working for him, Ning Cheng naturally would not just ignore it. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng decided to go to the beyond of heaven and earth. He said earnestly to Li Feng, "Court Pillar Li, I'm going to the beyond of heaven and earth. Take Lu Shima to the Tao Court and settle him down." Now that the news of the breathing soil had appeared, Li Feng knew that Ning Cheng would go and have a look no matter what. The only thing he could do was to help Ning Cheng stabilize the Tai Su Tao Court so that Ning Cheng would not have any worries. In fact, after defeating the Tai Su Tao Court's army led by Yin Xingwen for the second time, Ning Cheng's position as the Tao Lord of the Tai Su Tao Court had become very stable. After sending Li Feng away, Ning Cheng decided to look for Chu Manhe and Yan Binji. Ning Cheng had also heard of the beyond of heaven and earth. It was a place at the edge of a plain, and it was said that many experts would appear here. His current cultivation level was at the mid-stage primordial Tao realm. This cultivation level was enough for him to protect himself, but it might not be enough to fight for the breath soil. Chu Manhe was an extremely powerful Tao integration sacred emperor, and Yan Binji was also a half-step Tao integration sacred emperor. With the help of the two of them, they could go anywhere in the void with their strength. Before Ning Cheng reached Chu Manhe's cave abode, the defense array of the Tai Su mountain was triggered again. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and found 2 acquaintances, Su Shiqian and her fiancé, Su Yen. Ning Cheng had a good impression of them. Su Shiqian and her grandfather, Su Ji, were kind people. Su Shiqian had saved his life in the past. Ning Cheng hurriedly went out to welcome the two of them. Junior sister Shiqian and junior brother Su have come from afar. Please come in. Seeing that Ning Cheng had become the Dao Lord of the Tai Su Dao court without any arrogance, Su Shiqian and Su Yan were overjoyed. They felt even more cordial when they addressed Ning Cheng as junior brother and junior sister. Dao Lord, you are now the Tai Su Dao courts? Ning Cheng didn't wait for Su Yan to finish and interrupted him with a wave of his hand. Junior brother Su, when junior sister Shiqian saved me, I wasn't a Dao Lord. We met through trials and tribulations, and we are friends in times of adversity. If we were in the Dao court, you could call me that too. But here, it would be too formal to say anything else. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Su Yan didn't continue and called him brother Ning again. Junior sister Shiqian and junior brother Su, why did you come from afar? Ning Cheng asked after pouring divine spirit tea for the two of them. Su Shiqian was now a Dao birth sacred emperor, and it seemed that she had used the miraculous crossing Dao pill he had given her. Otherwise, Su Shiqian wouldn't have advanced to the Dao birth realm so quickly. When Su Shiqian heard Ning Cheng's words, she stood up and said in a solemn tone, Big brother Ning, you and a senior sister went to my Su clan's corner. You're talking about senior sister Ruo Shi, right? Thanks to the map jade strip given by your father, senior sister Ruo Shi could leave Grand Essence realm. Hearing Su Shiqian's words, Ning Cheng knew that she was talking about senior sister Ruo Shi. Su Shiqian took in a deep breath and said in an even more solemn tone, a few years ago, Su Yan and I went there. Because we knew that the Grand Simplicity Dao Court's army was coming, I thought that the Grand Essence realm would be plunged into misery and suffering. In order to keep our Su clan alive, my grandfather asked me to investigate the Miasma Canyon with weak laws in advance. In case we can't beat them in the future, we would have a place to retreat to. Ning Cheng's heart thumped when he heard this, and he suddenly had a bad feeling. Since Su Shiqian came all the way here and talked about Ruo Shi, something must have happened to the Miasma Canyon with weak laws that Ruo Shi left. Sure enough, Su Shiqian said, that canyon was filled with miasma, so Su Yan and I went in carefully. The deeper we went, the colder we felt. Just when we couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to leave, we suddenly saw a frozen statue. Ning Cheng suddenly stood up and asked in surprise, the statue you saw was senior apprentice sister Ruo Shi? Su Shiqian nodded. Yes, it was senior apprentice sister Ruo Shi. Although our people couldn't get through, we could still barely see something with our spiritual consciousness. That statue should be a shadow of senior apprentice sister Ruo Shi, not senior apprentice sister Ruo Shi's real body. When we hurriedly retreated, we saw a piece of cloth sealed in ice. That piece of cloth was the same color that senior apprentice sister Ruo Shi wore. I was worried, so I hurried over with Su Yan to tell you about it. Ning Cheng's expression turned ugly. If even a person's figure could be frozen, then how low would the temperature be? Moreover, a corner of Ruo Shi's dress was frozen. From this, it could be seen that even if Ruo Shi used the opening Heaven Child talisman to escape, the situation wouldn't be optimistic. After thinking for a long time, Ning Cheng decided to go to the Su clan's corner first to see the Miasma Canyon where Ruo Shi left. Jiang Man and his wife had gone to the heavens beyond heaven to inquire about the breath soil, so there shouldn't be any problems. If Ruo Shi really froze in that ice-cold Miasma Canyon, then it would be a big problem. After making the decision, Ning Cheng asked, Junior apprentice sister Shiqian, will you and junior apprentice brother Su follow me back to the Su clan's corner, or will you stay in Heaven Essence Sacred City? Su Shiqian quickly replied, in addition to this matter, I also came here to fight for a chance to survive in Heaven Essence Sacred City for the Su clan's corner. We didn't dare to come here before, but now that Heaven Essence Sacred City has strict laws and regulations, we might have a chance if we stay here. Ning Cheng nodded, that's good too. Staying at the edge of the Su clan's corner, and with the demon vein in between, it would be difficult for us to grow. Well, I'll give you a jade card. After you arrive in Heaven Essence Sacred City, you can go directly to Court Pillar Ju Fanhen. He will help you with everything. Ning Cheng was a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Therefore, Su Shiqian and Su Yan didn't doubt Ning Cheng's words at all. She took the jade card, worried that Ning Cheng would go to the Miasma Canyon with weak laws. You don't have to worry about it. When things are over here, I will find a way to establish a long-distance teleportation array from Broken Thatch Spirit City to Heaven Essence Sacred City. Ning Cheng said. He did intend to establish this teleportation array. Otherwise, the distance between Heaven Essence Sacred City and Su Clan's corner would not only be far, but it would also be dangerous. There was a Grand Essence Demon Vein along the way, and the demonic beasts in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein were too powerful. Even if the Broken Thatch Spirit City's void airship passed through the Grand Essence Demon Vein, it would have to pay enough spirit crystals. Once someone discovered something good, even if they paid a lot of spirit crystals, they would still end up robbed by the demonic beasts in the demon vein. Ning Cheng was a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Therefore, he couldn't restrain the Grand Essence Demon Vein. A day later, Ning Cheng spoke to Chu Manhe and the others. He also told Madame Luofei and the others that he wanted to leave the Grand Essence Mountain. After that, he directly teleported to the Spirit Sea City. With his current speed, it would only take him a little more than a year to reach Su Clan's corner. Moreover, he wasn't going to fight, so there was no need for Chu Manhe and the others to go with him. When he came back from Su Clan's corner and prepared to go to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, he would call Chu Manhe and the others. Chapter 1174. It was too expensive. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart as he walked out of the teleportation array. With such an expensive price, how many people could afford it? Even those who wanted to come to the Grand Essence Beast Range to hunt demonic beasts couldn't afford such a price. It was no wonder that only 3 people were teleported here from Thousand Leaves Holy City. Wait, you have to pay 100,000 spirit crystals as the exit fee. Ning Cheng hadn't even walked out of the teleportation tower when he was stopped at the entrance. An eternal cultivator and a half-step Dao sculpting cultivator stopped Ning Cheng's group of 3. The half-step Dao sculpting cultivator spoke. When he said he had to pay the spirit crystals, his eyes only glanced at Ning Cheng's group of 3. Then he looked away as if Ning Cheng's group of 3 were air in his eyes. Ning Cheng was a middle-stage Dao essence cultivator, while the other 2 were Dao sculpting cultivators. This half-step Dao sculpting cultivator might not be able to see Ning Cheng's cultivation, but he could definitely feel the cultivation of the 2 Dao sculpting divine emperors. Now that he saw 2 Dao sculpting divine emperors with higher cultivation and dared to ask for spirit crystals, it meant that they had a strong background. The 2 Dao sculpting divine emperors who came with Ning Cheng obviously didn't want to fall out with the Divine Sea Domain City over 100,000 spirit crystals. So, they directly paid 100,000 spirit crystals and hurried out of the Divine Sea Domain City. Ning Cheng stopped and asked, "Didn't I pay 6 million spirit crystals when I used the teleportation array? Why do I have to pay after coming out of the teleportation array? I've been to the Divine Sea Domain City before and I've even seen Yuxing City Lord. Who set this rule?" If Ning Cheng wasn't Dao Lord Grand Essence, he might not have stopped to ask about a mere 100,000 spirit crystals. But as the Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court, he would have to take over the Divine Sea Domain City sooner or later. Before that, he had to ask about this matter. "Who told you that this is the rule of the Divine Sea Domain City?" "This is my rule." The half-step Dao sculpting divine emperor snorted coldly. Ning Cheng frowned, but before he could speak, the half-step Dao sculpting divine emperor snorted again. "You have to pay 200,000 spirit crystals. If you still want to talk, then pay 300,000. Ning Cheng didn't want to waste any more time here. Originally, he wanted to ask the reason and pay 100,000 spirit crystals before going to do something. He would return to Divine Sea City after he was done with his business. He hadn't expected that the price would be raised to 200,000 divine crystals before he could even take out his divine crystals. Ning Cheng chuckled, "I won't hand it over." While speaking, he had already taken a step forward. When the half-step Dao sculpting cultivator saw that Ning Cheng dared to ignore him, he didn't hesitate to bring out several blade lights, intending to kill Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't even turn his head. After the several blade lights approached his domain, they bounced off the domain and immediately bounced back. The half-step Dao sculpting cultivator had clearly shot out these blade lights. But after Ning Qing rebounded, he couldn't avoid them. He could only watch as the blade lights blasted him into pieces and killed him on the spot. The eternal level cultivator, who hadn't moved or spoken, suddenly froze when he saw Ning Qing kill his companion without even lifting his hand. Only when Ning Qing walked out of the transfer tower's entrance did he grab a red light and throw it out. Ning Qing moved quickly. By the time the several lights landed in the Spirit Sea City, he had already brought out the Starry Sky Wheel and entered the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Who the hell did it? A man with a distorted face stared at the half-step Dao sculpting cultivator killed by Ning Qing and asked with a stern voice. This man was Yu Xing, the Spirit Sea City City Master, who had rushed back in time. The Spirit Sea City was his kingdom, and he was the king here. Now that someone dared to start a fight in his territory, it was simply courting death. Behind him, there were several other holy emperors who came with him. The eternal level cultivator spoke up in a trembling tone. It was a cultivator of unknown origin. He didn't want to pay 100,000 divine crystals, so Big Brother Su asked him for it. But out of anger, he killed Big Brother Su with a sneak attack. You said he killed Wang Su with a sneak attack? Yu Xing's tone turned even colder. The eternal level cultivator didn't dare to refute it. Instead, he insisted, this person has a high cultivation. I'm afraid that he's already in the Dao birth realm. With such strength, he still used a sneak attack to kill Big Brother Su. Shameless. Wang Su was City Master Yu Xing's man. Therefore, this eternal level cultivator naturally didn't dare to say that Wang Su was trash. But Ning Cheng's cultivation did indeed surpass Wang Su, which was why he said that. Dao birth. No wonder he could rush out of the Divine Sea City in such a hurry. But does rushing out of the Divine Sea City mean he's fine? Yu Xing gave a cold snort. Over the years, he had killed many people who violated the rules of the Divine Sea City. This was Ning Cheng's second time entering the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The first time was when he was chased by Deacon Xia. In the end, he had to flee to the Grand Essence Sea and head to the other end of the Grand Essence Domain from the Grand Essence Sea. It was also in the Grand Essence Sea that he met the Jiang Man couple. This time, Ning Cheng came to the Grand Essence Demon Vein without any scruples. He directly brought out the Starry Sky Wheel and raised the speed of the Starry Sky Wheel to the maximum. Just like a flash tearing through space, it streaked across the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The Starry Sky Wheel passed through the Grand Essence Demon Vein in such an arrogant manner. Even if it was at the edge of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, it couldn't help but alarm the powerhouses in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. After the Starry Sky Wheel passed through the Grand Essence Demon Vein, several powerful lights rushed towards the place where the Starry Sky Wheel passed through. It's just that the Starry Sky Wheel was too fast. Even if those demonic beasts saw the Starry Sky Wheel, they could only watch it disappear without a trace. Only a few powerful flying demonic beasts could chase after it for a while. But after a long time, the Starry Sky Wheel still lost them without a trace. In the past, it took Ning Cheng more than a year to get out of the corner of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. But now, it only took Ning Cheng 2 months to get out of the corner of the Grand Essence Demon Vein and reach the periphery of Broken Thatch Spirit City. Ning Cheng didn't intend to enter Broken Thatch Spirit City. His goal was the Miasma Canyon that Ruoshi had left through. It had nothing to do with Broken Thatch Spirit City. But when Ning Cheng passed through Broken Thatch Spirit City, he could feel a faint bloody aura permeating the air. Moreover, the Dao charm of demonic essence also soared into the sky. Since demonic essence soared into the sky, it meant that this place was dominated by demonic cultivators or demonic beasts. But Broken Thatch Spirit City rarely saw demonic cultivators. What was going on? Just as Ning Cheng was still thinking about it, 3 figures rushed out of Broken Thatch Spirit City. Behind these 3 figures, 2 even faster streaks of light rushed out. Several Dao Charm blade lights slid past, and of the 3 figures running in front, 2 of them were directly torn apart by the Dao Charm blade lights, turning into a rain of blood. The third person escaped not far from Ning Cheng and was about to be torn apart by the powerful Dao Charm blade lights. Ning Cheng raised his hand to stop the Dao Charm blade lights from rushing towards him, saving his life. This person's face turned pale. When the blade lights locked onto his space domain, he knew that he was finished. He didn't expect that someone would save him before he died. He quickly bowed to Ning Cheng. Many thanks for Senior's help. Senior, please leave. After the person finished speaking, he continued to run. But after walking for a while, he looked back and saw Ning Cheng not moving. He then turned back and said anxiously, Broken Thatch Spirit City is now a demonic beast city controlled by the Grand Essence Demon Vein. If human cultivators stay here, they will die if they aren't careful. Almost all the human cultivators here have been killed. Senior, please leave quickly. Ning Cheng's face suddenly sank. He knew about Broken Thatch Spirit City. It was the human city closest to the Grand Essence Demon Vein. This place was the boundary marker for the peaceful coexistence of humans and demonic beasts. Humans and demons had always barely maintained the balance. But now, demonic beasts openly occupied Broken Thatch Spirit City and killed human cultivators. It was simply a slap to the face of the Grand Essence Dao Quartz Dao Lord. Ning Cheng finally saw the two figures who followed him. Although these two people had human forms, they were undoubtedly demonic cultivators. Their demonic essence surged, and their Dao charms surrounded them. From the looks of it, they were almost equivalent to Dao Transformation Realm Holy Emperors. Someone dares to stop the demon vein outside Broken Thatch Spirit City. Should I kill them or capture them? In a short time, the two demonic cultivators rushed to the front of Ning Cheng. The one who spoke was the demonic cultivator in front. Ning Cheng knew that although these two demonic cultivators didn't have low cultivation, they weren't important figures. Therefore, he didn't wait for the second demonic cultivator to make a move. Instead, two time wheels swept out. The two demonic cultivators felt the space around them tighten. When time stopped, the two time wheels swept past them. Apart from a bloody mist, there was nothing left. Senior. The Dao Molding Holy Emperor, who was saved by Ning Cheng, looked at the two bloody mists under Ning Cheng's time wheels and called out in a trembling voice. Ning Cheng frowned as he looked at Broken Thatch Spirit City and suddenly asked, What's going on with Broken Thatch Spirit City? Since Broken Thatch Spirit City was controlled by the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Su Shiqian should have told him about it. He didn't know if Su Shiqian didn't know about it, or if she had forgotten about it. How dare you kill people in my demon vein? Another few figures rushed out of Broken Thatch Spirit City. Under the pressure of their powerful auras, the Dao Molding Holy Emperor next to Ning Cheng took dozens of steps back. However, under the protection of Ning Cheng's domain, he managed to stop in his tracks. Ning Cheng's gaze swept over the few people who came over and saw 5 people. Ning Cheng felt sure that among these 5 people, 3 were human cultivators, while the remaining 2 were demonic cultivators. The 3 human cultivators were all below Dao transformation, but one of the 2 demonic cultivators was at least equivalent to middle stage Dao Essence Realm. The one who said, "How dare," was the middle stage Dao Essence Realm demonic cultivator at the front. Looking at his aura, he should be the leader of the 5 people who came out. After looking at them, Ning Cheng said calmly, "You're wrong. I didn't just kill a human, but a demon." The middle stage Dao Essence demonic cultivator's eyes narrowed, and his killing intent suddenly pressed down on Ning Cheng like a wave. The rest of the people consciously spread out. Obviously, they didn't want Ning Cheng to leave. At this moment, a red light shot out of Broken Thatch Spirit City. A human cultivator behind the demonic cultivator raised his hand and grabbed the red light. After scanning it with his spiritual consciousness, he suddenly bowed and said, "Elder Pan, it's Divine Sea City's Yuxing City Lord." He came directly from the Demon Vein's teleportation array. Just as Elder Pan was about to speak, Yuxing's laughter came over. "Brother Pan, I'm not late, right? I heard that someone killed a Demon Vein disciple here. I guess this thug must be an evil cultivator who escaped from my Divine Sea City." As Yuxing said this, he felt as if someone was strangling his neck. He saw Ning Cheng standing in front of him and staring at him coldly. Chapter 1175. Even if Yu Xing was at the edge of the Grand Essence Realm, the divine sea city that even the heavenly emperor couldn't control, he wouldn't know who Ning Cheng was. The person who established the Grand Essence Dao Court in the Grand Essence Realm was also the Dao monarch of the Grand Essence Dao Court. He also led hundreds of thousands of array masters to arrange the Grand Essence Realm's protective Grand Array. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also destroyed the Grand Essence Dao Court's army twice in a row and opened the access restrictions between the Grand Essence Ruins and the Grand Essence Domain. His prestige in the entire Grand Essence Realm was boundless. Even if such a person killed all of Yu Xing's disciples, he wouldn't be stupid enough to come here to cause trouble. Not to mention that Ning Cheng had only killed one of Yu Xing's dogs. Yu Xing greets Dao Monarch. Dao Monarch, please forgive Yu Xing for being late to welcome you. Yu Xing figured out his priorities in the shortest time possible and quickly stepped forward to give a deep bow. He couldn't understand why Ning Cheng came to this place. If it weren't for the news about the 5-element chaos chi, he wouldn't have come to this place. Even Dao transformation holy emperors wouldn't come to this place, let alone a Dao monarch like Ning Cheng. If a Dao monarch would notice this corner, how could Yu Xing act like this? In fact, no matter how many powerful sects in the Grand Essence Realm built a teleportation array in the Divine Sea City. All this while, no one had managed this place. Ning Cheng's arrival made Yu Xing's heart skip a beat. He knew that Ning Cheng had come here once, but it was because of the 5-element chaos chi. But now, there was nothing here. Dao Monarch. Elder Pan immediately looked at Ning Cheng in surprise when he saw Yu Xing's appearance. Ning Cheng had done so many great things in the Grand Essence Realm. How could he not know about the Grand Essence Demon Vein? It's just that the Grand Essence Demon Vein had existed for many years, and many powerhouses stronger than Ning Cheng had appeared in the Grand Essence Realm. No one came to the Grand Essence Demon Vein and didn't care about what the Grand Essence Demon Vein did. As long as the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Vein didn't invade the prosperous places of the Grand Essence Domain, no one from the Grand Essence Domain would come to this corner. What was going on this time? Why did a Dao monarch from the Grand Essence Realm come to this place? Ning Cheng showed a cold smile. City Lord Yu, a Dao Lord like me can't control you. Asking you to come out and greet me, I wouldn't dare. When Yu Xing heard Ning Cheng's words, he immediately panicked in his heart. Although he wasn't very clear about Ning Cheng's means, he at least knew a thing or two. Back then, Ning Cheng had only been at the Dao sculpting realm, yet he had made the Sea Sky Pavilion's Dao essence expert, Deacon Gorge, disappear. Now that Ning Cheng had reached the primordial Dao realm, he controlled tens of millions of Dao court soldiers. It could be said that killing a puny Yu Xing would be as easy as breathing. As for killing Ning Cheng to silence him, he had never even thought about it. If Ning Cheng was so easy to kill, then he would not have waited until now to act. Man Suotian is amazing, right? He killed the Elixir Association's guild master, Sidu Chen, Chiu Tian, and destroyed the Elixir Association. However, as soon as Ning Cheng returned, he rebuilt the Elixir Association and destroyed Man Suotian, who was a Dao integration expert. Well, if Man Suotian, a Dao integration stage powerhouse, was killed by Ning Cheng's sneak attack, Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian, the two Dao integration experts, couldn't have plotted against him, right? They even joined forces with hundreds of primordial chaos experts and millions of Dao court troops. What happened in the end? Didn't Ning Cheng kill them all? Not to mention Ao Beijiang, even the Grand Change Realm's Realm Lord Yin Xingwen was powerful enough to invade the Grand Essence Realm with tens of millions of Dao court troops, 5 Dao integration holy emperors, and hundreds of primordial chaos holy emperors. As long as Yu Xing's brain wasn't damaged, he wouldn't want to go against Ning Cheng. So it's Dao Lord Ning. Bao Pan didn't recognize you before. Please forgive me. The primordial Dao realm demon cultivator immediately changed his action and changed his attacking posture to cupping his fists. Ning Cheng snorted coldly. I don't dare. The demon cultivators and demonic beasts have been living well in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Why are you so impatient to come out and slaughter the human cultivator city? He knew that Ning Cheng meant that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts were tired of living and wanted to come out to die. However, Bao Pan still explained, Dao Lord Ning misunderstood. We have never slaughtered Broken Thatch Divine City. There was a riot in Broken Thatch Divine City, resulting in countless deaths and injuries. Several leaders of Broken Thatch Divine City invited our demon vein cultivators to help. We are still trying to quell those rioting cultivators. I also misunderstood when Tao Lord passed by here. In fact, he didn't care much about it. He had seen this kind of thing many times in the Grand Essence demon vein. Ning Cheng was a Tao Lord. If he didn't care about it, then he wouldn't care about it. But since he wanted to take care of it, then he would give this new Tao Lord some face. Even if he had to take out some things, it wouldn't hurt. The other party was a Tao Lord from the Grand Essence Tao Court. No matter why he came to this place, he wouldn't stay for long. As for other things, he could continue after this Tao Lord left. You're talking nonsense. The Tao Molding Divine Emperor saved by Ning Cheng had just recovered from the shock. He didn't expect that the person who saved him would turn out to be Tao Lord Ning Cheng of the Grand Essence Tao Court. One had to know that Tao Lord Ning Cheng's name was well known even in this peripheral area of the Grand Essence realm. If it weren't for Yu Xing occupying the Deep Sea region's teleportation array, no one would be able to teleport away from here. Many cultivators who stayed here would have already left this place. Now that he heard Bao Pan distort the truth, he immediately shouted. Bao Pan frowned. He was angry at the two demon cultivators killed by Ning Cheng. They couldn't even kill a puny Tao Molding Divine Emperor and let the other party escape. They were simply too useless. Just when Bao Pan wanted to continue explaining, Ning Cheng's expression suddenly changed. He took a step towards Broken Thatch God City. Several demon cultivators, Yu Xing and the others saw Ning Cheng come over. They didn't dare to stop him at all and directly moved to the side. The Tao Molding Divine Emperor following Ning Cheng saw Ning Cheng rush into Broken Thatch God City. He became anxious and also rushed in. Ning Cheng had come to Broken Thatch God City several times. At this time, when Ning Cheng entered this place, he smelled a thick smell of blood. Whether it was the streets or outside the shops, there was dark brown blood qi everywhere. In some places, the dried blood had even condensed into a thick layer. Ning Cheng kicked the defensive array outside a merchant house. The defensive array split open and a beautiful woman hung upside down on the counter. There was a bloody hole in her chest. Her aura had just stopped. Next to her corpse, there was a man wearing a floral robe with beast patterns. There was blood at the corner of the man's mouth. Obviously, it wasn't his blood but something he had just eaten. The man had a half-foot-long horn on the back of his head, and his whole body exuded a vicious aura. Ning Cheng's heart was filled with anger. He blasted out a Tao Rune Giant hand and directly locked the male demon with Tao Nourishment Cultivation. The next moment, Ning Cheng threw the male demon into a spatial restriction he had set up. Ning Cheng threw several flames into the restriction. A miserable scream rang out. The man didn't even have time to speak before he was wrapped in flames. Tao Lord Ning, quickly stop. Only then did Bao Pan's anxious voice come from behind. At the same time, Bao Pan raised his hand and grabbed at the spatial restriction Ning Cheng had set up, wanting to save the screaming man inside. How could Ning Cheng let Bao Pan save him? The Void Cold Light Spear swept up several Tao Rune Spear runes. These Tao Rune Spear runes directly tore apart the Tao Rune Law power that Bao Pan blasted out. Kacha, under Ning Cheng's Tao Rune Spear runes, the domain protecting Bao Pan's body directly tore deep cracks. Stop! Bao Pan panicked and quickly retreated. He knew that Ning Cheng was powerful, but he didn't expect him to be this powerful. As a middle-stage Tao primordial demonic cultivator, he couldn't resist at all. How could Ning Cheng stop? After entering Broken Reed Spirit City and sensing that almost all the human cultivators here had been slaughtered, Ning Cheng decided to kill all the demonic cultivators here and destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The Void Cold Light Spear cut through the void and locked the space. It swept up the traces of the Time Spear runes and arrived in front of Bao Pan after Bao Pan said the word, stop. Time and space stopped, and only the tip of the Void Cold Light Spear was still moving forward. This was a powerful combination of the laws of time and space. Bao Pan's eyes flashed with intense fear. He knew that he wasn't Ning Cheng's opponent. Tao Lord Ning, The one trapped by your flame space is the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Sacred Emperor's son, Qiu Beifeng. Poof! Bao Pan could no longer continue speaking. Ning Cheng's void cold light spear had already pierced through his glabella, turning him into a pool of blood mist. Only a ring remained, which Ning Cheng took away. A Dao Essence Demon Vein's Sacred Emperor probably didn't have anything good. Ning Cheng didn't take it to heart. As for the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Sacred Emperor, he didn't care about it at all. The Grand Essence Demon Vein was also the Grand Essence Realm's territory. Since it was the Grand Essence Realm's territory, it was under the Grand Essence Dao Court. He was a Dao Lord of the Dao Court. Even a Sacred Emperor would have to deal with him. The moment Ning Cheng killed Bao Pan, apart from Qiu Beifeng, who was still wailing in pain, the surroundings turned silent. Whether it was Yu Xing and the others, or some demonic cultivators, no one dared to speak. Dao Lord. Yu Xing called out with a trembling voice. Ning Cheng's strength had exceeded his expectations. Although Bao Pan was only at the middle stage Dao Essence realm, Yu Xing had a clear understanding of Bao Pan's strength. Such a powerful demonic cultivator didn't even have the strength to fight back against Ning Cheng. No wonder Ning Cheng could kill Man Suotin. It was simply heaven-defying. At the same time, Yu Xing also knew that there was no possibility of reconciliation between the Grand Essence Dao Court and the Demon Vein. He knew too well what kind of person Qiu Beifeng was. Now that Ning Cheng burned Qiu Beifeng to death, it would be strange if the Sacred Emperor of the Demon Vein would stop. Ning Cheng stared at Yu Xing coldly. I'll give you a chance. Kill all the demonic cultivators and the scum who joined the demonic cultivators in Broken Thatch Divine City. Of course, you're also a scum. I don't have anyone to use right now, so you're still a little useful. Ning Cheng wanted to kill Yu Xing immediately, but he came alone this time. He didn't have anyone to use. Yu Xing was a local snake. He could stabilize Broken Thatch Divine City in the shortest time possible. He could also effectively kill the most demonic beasts and demonic cultivators and save more human cultivators. However, he wanted to take this opportunity to go to the Miasma Canyon where Ruo Shi left. Dao Lord's order, Yu Xing promises to complete it. After Yu Xing said these words, he brought out a blade-type artifact. Under Yu Xing's sudden attack, none of the 4 cultivators who came with Bao Pan survived. Chapter 1176. Ning Cheng nodded. This Yu Xing was quite decisive in saving his life. If Yu Xing had hesitated, Ning Cheng wouldn't have minded killing him and wasting some time here. Dao Lord, I will immediately gather the human cultivators to deal with the rest of the demonic beasts and demonic cultivators. Seeing Ning Cheng's calm expression, Yu Xing rejoiced in his heart. He knew that he had done the right thing. Ning Cheng nodded and said, Yu Xing, I'll give you a chance. Organize all the human cultivators in Broken Thatch God City and the surrounding areas and establish a new Dao Court army. This new Dao Court army's pillar will be Su Ji, and of Su Clan's Corner. Send someone to Su Clan's Corner and invite Su Ji in here. You can be Su Ji An's deputy. Dao Lord, this junior is Li Hao. If it weren't for senior's help, this junior would have already fallen. This junior is willing to go to Su Clan's Corner and invite senior Su Ji in here. The Dao Molding Holy Emperor, who Ning Cheng saved, also quickly spoke up. Okay, then you can stay by Su Ji An's side to help. Ning Cheng then looked at Yu Xing. His gaze no longer had the same warmth as before. Instead, it contained a hint of killing intent. Yu Xing's heart tightened. He knew that he didn't answer Ning Cheng's words immediately. Now that Ning Cheng looked at him, he didn't dare to hesitate anymore. He quickly bowed and said, Dao Lord, Yu Xing will obey Dao Lord's order. But... Ning Cheng frowned. But what? Are you worried that you can't control Broken Thatch God City? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already swept through Broken Thatch God City. Yu Xing was the strongest here. Apart from him, there was no other Dao Essence powerhouse here. Yu Xing could control Broken Thatch God City and kill all the demonic cultivators and demonic beasts in the city. Yu Xing didn't dare to hesitate anymore. Tao Lord, the most powerful demonic cultivator in Broken Thatch God City, is Bao Pan. Now that Tao Lord killed Bao Pan, this subordinate can take control of Broken Thatch God City. At the same time, I can also organize the surrounding human cultivators according to Tao Lord's will. Then what are you hesitating for? Ning Qing asked coldly. Yu Xing had no choice but to say, the demonic cultivators in Broken Thatch God City and the surrounding demonic beasts are nothing. What I'm worried about is the Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Within the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Sacred Emperor Qiu Yuxing was the most powerful demonic beast. He controls countless demonic cultivators and demonic beasts from the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Once he brings people out of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, I'm afraid that he wouldn't even need to do anything. Even Broken Thatch Spirit City would be flattened by him. What is Qiu Yuxing's cultivation? Ning Qing suddenly asked. Yu Xing bowed again. I'm not very sure about Qiu Yuxing's cultivation level, but I believe that even if he hasn't reached Dao integration, he should be close to it. I understand. You just need to do as I say. As for Qiu Yuxing, I'm afraid he doesn't have the energy to come here. After saying that, Ning Qing raised his hand and threw out a ray of light. He then looked at Yu Xing and said, I've already sent out the Tao Lord token. From now on, the name Grand Essence Demon Vein will disappear from the Grand Essence realm. It will be renamed to the Grand Essence Trial Area. I'll be leaving first. If you don't get what I want when I come back, don't blame me for being rude. With that, Ning Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Yu Xing's back was drenched in cold sweat. What was an expert? Compared to a powerful Tao Lord like Ning Cheng, that holy emperor from the Grand Essence Demon Vein was nothing but a fart. Ning Cheng had just raised his hand and sent out the Tao Lord token. Yu Xing didn't need to ask to know the content of this Tao Lord token. It most likely wanted to mobilize the Grand Essence Tao Court's army to destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein. As for changing the name of the Grand Essence Demon Vein to the Grand Essence Trial Area, the implication was to kill all the controllers of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. As for those small ant-like demonic beasts, they would stay in the Grand Essence Demon Vein and let human cultivators come in to train. With a single sentence, it determined the fate of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Yu Xing silently mourned for the Grand Essence Demon Vein's holy emperor Qiu Yuxing. At the same time, he made up his mind to do things to satisfy the Tao Lord. Otherwise, no matter how capable Yu Xing was, he wouldn't be able to escape the Tao Lord's hands. Tao-friendly Hao, I'm in Broken Reed Spirit City to reorganize the human cultivators and kill demonic beasts and demonic cultivators. I'll have to trouble you to go to Su Clan's corner and invite Senior Su Jun, and to come here to preside over the Tao Court's army. Yu Xing had long forgotten that he was a Tao Essence Holy Emperor and a City Lord. He cupped his fists and spoke politely to Li Hao, who he didn't even look at before. City Lord you don't have to do this. Li Hao will definitely complete this task. Li Hao quickly bowed back. Yu Xing was polite to him, but he didn't dare to treat Yu Xing casually. How could he not know who Yu Xing was? This was a Tao Essence powerhouse and the Divine Sea City's City Lord. Every cultivator who left the Divine Sea City had to go through Yu Xing's nod. Yu Xing deliberately stepped forward and patted Li Hao's shoulder. He smiled and said, Tao-friendly, we're all working under the Tao Lord. Since the Tao Lord wants to destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein, we must do it well. Most of the human cultivators in Broken Reed Spirit City who resisted had either died or escaped. Now that the slaughter had come to an end, it was once again happening in Broken Reed Spirit City. The only difference was that before, it was demonic beasts and demonic cultivators slaughtering human cultivators. But now, under Yu Xing's leadership, human cultivators slaughtered demonic cultivators and demonic beasts. More and more human cultivators appeared in Broken Reed Spirit City, while fewer demonic cultivators and demonic beasts appeared. Yu Xing lived up to everyone's expectations. Before Su Ji arrived at Broken Reed Spirit City, he formed a Tao Court army of nearly 100,000 people. The Grand Essence Demon Vein existed longer than the Grand Essence Ruins. The Grand Essence Demon Vein already existed when the Grand Essence Realm was still intact. It's just that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts could only hide in the Demon Vein and couldn't leave. After the Great Creation War, the Grand Essence Realm's laws shattered, and the Grand Essence Realm split into the Grand Essence Sea, the Grand Essence Ruins and the Grand Essence Domain. In contrast, the Grand Essence Demon Vein didn't change much. While the strength of the human cultivators in the Grand Essence Realm weakened, the strength of the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts rose rapidly. In the end, the Demon Vein's Holy Emperor took command. With the Demon Vein's Holy Emperor, the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts quickly gathered. Although there were still human cultivators hunting demonic beasts on the edge of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, that disadvantage was gone forever. If it weren't for the fear of the Grand Essence Realm's 10 major sects and the greed for the Broken Thatch Spirit City's toll, the Grand Essence Demon Vein would never allow the Broken Thatch Spirit City to open up an airship route to the Divine Sea City. In the deepest part of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, there was a luxurious building. From the looks of it, these buildings and caves weren't inferior to the Heaven Essence Sacred City. The buildings formed a huge city that was comparable to any holy city. It's just that most of the residents in this city were demonic beasts and demonic cultivators. Almost no human cultivators could be seen. Even if they did, they would quickly leave or disappear. At this time, in the most luxurious hall in the depths of the city, a man with 3-3-foot-long horns on the back of his head looked furious. In front of him was a recently killed human maid. Why did the news from 5 days ago only reach me now? The man stared angrily at the two demonic cultivators standing below him. This man was the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Holy Emperor, Qiu Yusheng. The two demonic cultivators didn't dare to speak at all. They didn't even dare to say that he had just returned today. Go gather 100,000 people and follow me to flatten the Broken Thatch Spirit City. Qiu Yusheng punched the jade table in front of him and shouted. Boom. Without waiting for Qiu Yusheng's order, a shadow suddenly rushed in, courting death. Qiu Yusheng raised his hand and was about to turn the shadow to ashes. But he soon stopped and asked with dissatisfaction, Yu Qi, you haven't been following me for a day or two. Why are you still so impatient? The man called Yu Qi finally stopped. He handed over a jade strip with a pale face and said, Holy Emperor, something bad has happened. Qiu Yusheng frowned when he heard these words. He grabbed the jade strip and snorted, Is the sky falling down? It's been so many years, but the more you live, the more you regress. The first time, Qiu Yusheng held back and didn't reprimand Yu Qi. But the second time, Yu Qi was still so impatient. Yu Qi didn't seem to hear the Holy Emperor's reprimand and still said anxiously, The Taisu Dao Court has sent a 10 million Dao Court army. There are 2 Dao integration experts and dozens of primordial chaos experts. They have already gathered at the edge of the Divine Sea City. I estimate that they will attack the Taisu Demon Meridian in 1 day. Once the 10 million Dao Court army attacks the Taisu Demon Meridian, we will be in danger. What? Qiu Yusheng's hand shook when he heard this, and the jade strip fell to the ground. After a breath, he grabbed Yu Qi and asked anxiously, The Taisu Demon Meridian has no enmity with the Taisu Dao Court. When the Taisu Dao Court was established, we even sent a congratulatory gift. Why does the Taisu Dao Court want to deal with the Taisu Demon Meridian? Yu Qi took a few deep breaths and said carefully, I know that young Master Bei Feng offended the Dao Lord of the Taisu Dao Court, so, even in death, this beast won't let me off easily. Why did he have to provoke the Dao Lord of the Taisu Dao Court? Qiu Yusheng became even angrier. He completely forgot about avenging his son and raising the Broken Thatch Divine City. Yu Qi felt helpless in his heart. Isn't this caused by you spoiling him too much? The name Bei Feng sounds like a treasure to me. He could only answer honestly, Bei Feng colluded with the Broken Thatch Divine City's city master and wantonly killed the human cultivators of Broken Thatch Divine City. It wasn't a big deal, but the Dao Lord Ning Cheng of the Taisu Dao Court passed by Broken Thatch Divine City and saw it. In the end, Ning Cheng killed Bei Feng and issued a Dao Lord order to destroy the Taisu Demon Meridian. That beast, Who let him touch broken thatch divine city? If I could touch broken thatch divine city, why would this father wait until today? How could Chiu Yusheng still have the mood to avenge his son? What's more, it wasn't about revenge, but the other party didn't want to let go of his Taisu demon meridian. As soon as Chiu Yusheng said this, another red light shot in. Chiu Yusheng grabbed the red light and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. He immediately shouted in anger, "You've gone too far. My Taisu demon meridian isn't easy to mess with. Pass my sacred royal order, gather all the forces of the Taisu demon meridian." Chapter 1177. Ningcheng soon arrived at the miasma canyon where Ruoxi left. The canyon was still filled with miasma. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept inside and found that the laws of space here were indeed a bit weak. Using the opening Heavenchild talisman to tear through the weak space here wasn't a problem at all. With Ningcheng's current strength, the effect of this miasma on him was limited. He took a step into the miasma in the canyon. There was no icy chill, which made Ningcheng guess that Ruoxi wasn't trapped in this canyon. He had seen Ruoxi use the child talisman to tear through space and disappear, so how could she be trapped here? At the same time, Ningcheng also believed that Su Shiqian wouldn't lie to him. Even if Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness was strong enough, he still couldn't clearly see what was in the depths of the canyon. Ningcheng brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort and entered deeper into the canyon. When Ruoxi used the child talisman to tear open the void, he couldn't see it very clearly. He only saw Ruoxi disappear in the thin ripples of space. Along the way, there was miasma everywhere, and some of the corrosive miasma fell on the everlasting blue thunder fort, making it chi-chi sound. Ningcheng found that the canyon was like a void, and the deeper he went, the wider the space became. Before, he could vaguely feel the edge of the canyon, but after reaching this place, he could no longer feel the edge of the canyon. An increasingly cold and icy aura permeated over, giving Ningcheng a bad feeling in his heart. He stopped, feeling sure that Ruoxi hadn't reached this place. Moreover, with Su Yan and Su Shiqian's cultivation, they could only reach this point at most and couldn't go any deeper. The icy aura constantly swept past the periphery of Ningcheng's everlasting blue thunder fort, and like the miasma, it fell on the thunder light of the everlasting blue thunder fort, causing a corrosive sound from time to time. Ningcheng stayed in place for 2 hours, but he didn't see the ice block that sealed Ruoxi's shadow, nor did he see the ice block that sealed a corner of Ruoxi's dress. Feeling the weak laws of space around him, Ningcheng wondered if he could tear open the void interface here with the 5-colored star splitter arrow. The 5-colored star splitter arrow was different from the opening heaven talisman's child talisman. Even if he shot open the void interface, the 5-colored star splitter arrow couldn't take him away like the child talisman. However, if he were to shoot open this void boundary, he would be able to see the void outside the boundary in an extremely short amount of time. Ningcheng was still thinking about whether or not to bring out the star splitter arrow when a faint ray of light shot down from above. It was noon. Although the miasma in this place was heavy, at noon, the weak sunlight could still fall a little. After the sun set, the miasma seemed to have dispersed a little. The ice-cold space around Ningcheng seemed to have suddenly solidified, and an even more terrifying chill assaulted them. Ningcheng was surprised in his heart, and was just about to retreat, when a shadow swept past him from the corner of his eye. That shadow turned out to be a figure sealed in ice, vaguely resembling Ruoxi. Before Ningcheng could go over, the sunlight shifted, and Ruoxi's shadow could no longer be seen. However, the surrounding space was getting colder and colder, as if the coldness was brought about by the sunlight. The light didn't bring warmth, but it brought an even more terrifying chill. Ningcheng took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He was sure that what he saw just now was Ruoxi. Moreover, he was also sure that what he saw just now was not an actual icicle, but a projection. The sunlight shone down from the gap in the miasma, allowing the projection to fall into the miasma in the ice-cold space, which he saw. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness spread out completely and slowly swept out. He had to figure out where the shadow came from. As the sunlight had just dispersed, Ning Cheng easily felt the coldest place. His spiritual consciousness swept along the ice-cold location, and a chill that penetrated into his sea of consciousness made him subconsciously shiver. But such a chill not only didn't make Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness shrink back, but it also accelerated its sweep. After 2 breaths, Ning Cheng finally saw what was going on. In the place where his divine sense penetrated, he saw a small crack that was faintly discernible. The endless coldness seeped out from this crack. At this moment, Ning Cheng was almost sure that Ruoxi's frozen shadow was not in the miasma in the canyon, but in the crack. When a ray of light penetrated the miasma, it reflected the frozen shadow in the miasma canyon in a very short time, allowing him and Su Shiqian to see it. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on this tiny crack, and his scalp went numb. As a top-grade array formation master who arranged the Grand Essence defensive array, how could Ning Cheng not know how terrifying this crack was? This crack indicated that something had gone wrong in this corner of the Grand Essence realm. As time passed, this crack would grow bigger and bigger, and this area would eventually disappear into the void. If it was just this area disappearing into the void, it wouldn't be a big deal. But more importantly, once this area of the Grand Essence realm was torn apart by the void, other places in the Grand Essence realm would also slowly be swallowed up by the void over time. Countless years later, the Grand Essence realm might disappear without a trace, just like the planets hidden in the void. The 5 grand realms would no longer have a Grand Essence realm. No wonder Suji and said that this space was the weakest place in the entire Grand Essence realm. It wasn't just weak, but a real crack. If he allowed this crack to exist, the Grand Essence realm, which originally had incomplete laws, would eventually have problems. As the Tao Lord of the Grand Essence realm, how could he just watch the Grand Essence realm collapse from this place and then spread to the entire interface? This time, Ning Cheng didn't hesitate and directly brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Although this crack in the interface was small, he had no other means to tear it bigger than the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Regardless of whether the interface had a crack or not, tearing it apart wouldn't affect it. The crack in the interface was caused by the shattering of laws, and it had nothing to do with forcibly breaking the interface. If Ning Cheng wanted to enter and find Ruoxi, he would have to tear apart the interface here. As for repairing this crack in the interface, he could only discuss it with the others after returning to the Tao court. The 5-colored star splitter arrow, like a giant whale sucking in water, crazily sucked away Ning Cheng's spirit essence and Tao charm power. As soon as it shot out, it once again sucked away all the surrounding imposing aura and then turned into a tearing arrow in the shortest time possible. Boom! The 5-colored star splitter arrow exploded outside the crack, and the crack slowly widened under the tearing force of the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Ning Cheng didn't wait for the crack to return to its original appearance. Instead, his figure flashed and disappeared from the miasma canyon, entering the void crack. As soon as Ning Cheng entered the void crack, a horrifying chill hit him. The everlasting blue thunder fort, under this incomparably terrifying cold, gave out ka-ka sounds. In an instant, Ning Cheng saw a blurry figure sealed in ice behind him. It was the figure he had just rushed into the void, frozen by the extreme cold. Ning Cheng's heart sank. He felt sure that his current strength should be stronger than Ruoxi's. Even with his current strength, he couldn't resist the cold here. How could Ruoxi resist it after using the heaven-sundering talisman's child talisman? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon saw a piece of a dress sealed in ice. Su Shiqian didn't see it wrong. The piece of dress sealed in ice was the dress Ruoxi had worn before. After calming his mind, Ning Cheng rolled up the piece of dress and moved it a few times. Then he saw another piece of dress sealed in ice. Not only were there pieces of dress, but there were also some figures sealed in ice. These frozen figures were somewhat blurry, some were slightly clear, and some were very clear. Without exception, Ruoxi's figure had been sealed by the extreme cold when she moved quickly. At this time, Ning Cheng was almost certain that Ruoxi's child talisman didn't play its role. In other words, the child talisman was blocked in this extremely cold space. Ruoshi could only move around frantically to find a way out. There weren't many pieces of dress sealed in ice. From this, Ningcheng could tell that Ruoshi had brought out her 9-petal lotus throne to protect her body in time. Although this space was extremely cold, Ningcheng had the protection of the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. As such, his clothes wouldn't freeze to the point where they would fall off. Moreover, he had personally crafted his clothes. As an artifact crafting master who could refine top-grade spirit artifacts, even if he didn't use the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort in a hurry, his clothes wouldn't freeze to the point of cracking under the current cold. In this icy space, Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate any further. He could only vaguely sense the direction in which the cold had weakened. According to his speculation, Ruoshi's child talisman didn't work. If she wanted to escape from this cold, she would have to move towards the direction in which the cold weakened. Ningcheng rushed all the way, and after an hour, even with the protection of the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, he still couldn't bear it. Behind him were shadows that were sealed in ice. It could be seen how terrifying the cold here was. A 9-petal lotus throne shining with a faint Dao charm appeared in front of Ningcheng. This lotus throne was completely sealed in ice. Ningcheng's heart sank. He knew that this was Ruoshi's weapon. Moreover, this 9-petal lotus throne was a top-grade weapon. It wasn't any weaker than the mountain and river dipper he snatched from Feng Xian. In fact, it was even stronger. Ningcheng's figure flashed and landed on the edge of the 9-petal lotus throne. The 9-petal lotus throne still contained Ruoshi's aura, but Ruoshi wasn't here. The 9-petal lotus throne was as important to Ruoshi as the mysterious yellow bead was to Ningcheng. Now that the 9-petal lotus throne was here, but Ruoshi wasn't here, it meant that something must have happened to Ruoshi. Ningcheng reached out and grabbed the 9-petal lotus throne, and the aura of Dao Charm rushed towards him. These were the Dao Charm laws left behind by Ruoshi. Ningcheng and Ruoshi had been together for a long time, so he could feel it immediately. Feeling the remnants of this Dao Charm aura, Ningcheng felt slightly relieved in his heart. Since the 9-petal lotus throne still worked, it meant that Ruoshi didn't freeze to death. The only possibility was that Ruoshi knew that she couldn't hold on in this place. So, she simply used the 9-petal lotus throne to protect a space, and then escaped from this protected space. Unfortunately, she couldn't take away the 9-petal lotus throne. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.